I want to kindly ask you to switch off your mobile phones and let's start our business here in this committee. First of all, dear colleagues, I am very pleased to welcome you to the 2020 winter meeting session of the OSCE General Committee on Economic Affairs, Science, Technology and Environment. The draft agenda of this meeting has been circulated. Could we adopt it? Any comments? Objections? Adopted. Thank you very much. So, before we will start discussions and debate about ideas of our rapporteur on OSCE, let me make some short remarks before we will start. First of all, it's a big honor for me to briefly address you as the Vice Chair of this important committee. Before we begin, I would like to pay tribute to the former Chair, Ms. Sofia Katsarava, who resigned last November. And I'm firmly convinced that the issues handled within our second committee are utterly important and strictly interlinked to those debated in other PA committees. In fact, I believe that the challenges stemming from the issues covered by our committee are directly impacting the stability of our countries and the safety of our citizens. Climate crisis, global warming, plastic in the oceans, corruption, water shortage, for example, in Central Asia, ecological problems caused by military conflicts and invasions, example, Ukrainian Donbass, Ukrainian Crimea, shortage of food, viruses, and this is not the full list. And moreover, the ways in which we can tackle all these challenges are in the light of the parliamentary engagement in the implementation of the SDG goals. In the responsibility of our second committee are very important goals. Number 4, quality education. Goal 6, clean water and sanitation. Goal 7, affordable and clean energy. Goal 9, industry, innovation and infrastructure. Goal 12, responsible consumption. But also, one of the most important goals, number 16, peace, justice and strong institutions. That's why we should fight corruption, enhance anti-money laundering, and of course stop the flows of the financing of terrorism and foreign terrorist fighters, especially state financing. And now allow me to say a few words about today's program. As you can see, we have a busy but very interesting agenda ahead. First, we will hear a presentation made by our Albanian colleague, Ms. Ilona Oksa, rapporteur of the committee. She will introduce her ideas and intentions regarding her report for the 29th annual session in Vancouver. You will have the opportunity to contribute to her novel work in the debate. Next, there will be 2 presentations on the work of the OSCE in the second dimension. The first one by the Ambassador Sherzod Azadov, the new chair of the OSCE Economic and Environmental Committee and permanent representative of Uzbekistan to the OSCE, and the second by Ambassador Mukjukic, coordinator of OSCE economic and environmental activities. During the segment, we will learn more about the OSCE plans for 2020 and explore how we can join forces to address some of the key challenges I mentioned before. Subsequently, Ms. Toril Ayshan, PA Special Representative on Arctic issues, will introduce a special debate on the security implications of climate change and the role of parliamentarians. This is a critical topic in today's security agenda. Mr. Lukas Rutinger, Senior Project Manager at Adelphi, will help us contextualize it better. And dear colleagues, speakers list for the special debates will be closed shortly. So please, all of you who want to make comments and to participate in the debates, please put your names to the list as soon as possible. We will conclude the meeting with a timely presentation on the Belt and Road Initiative challenges and opportunities made by Mr. Pascal Alizar, Vice President of the OSCE. Hopefully, our busy agenda will allow some time for an interesting debate also on this important topic. Dear colleagues, as you can see, all segments of our agenda are very relevant in today's security context and indeed require attention to detail. I hope this session will inspire our future efforts. It's a shared goal of all participating states, governments and parliaments to work in synergy when addressing the economic and environmental challenges affecting our region. I encourage all speakers to be succinct in their presentations, innovative in their ideas, and possibly to focus on areas where we can do more together. I also invite all committee members to be very concise in their contributions from the floor, thereby enabling more members to actively engage. Thank you very much. And now I want to give the floor to our rapporteur, Ms. Ilona Hoksa, to present us some initial ideas concerning her report to the upcoming annual session in Vancouver. Ms. Hoksa, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Dear Chairperson, distinguished colleagues, our region is experiencing several key security challenges. Among these challenges, the ones stemming from so-called second dimension matters are directly affected a great number of citizens through our region. In the context of implementing OSCE commitment in the economic environment dimension, our coordinated efforts are paramount in the following areas: good governance, anti-corruption and financial terrorism, environment security and climate change, energy and water security, innovation and digitalization, migration management. Dear colleagues, the OSCE is eager to actively cooperate with the OSCE chairmanship and the executive structures of the organization to extend the reach of our actions. The Albanian chairmanship priorities for 2020: fighting corruption, responding to the challenges emerging from the rapid digitalization processes, and protecting our environment are timely and relevant. Also, chairing office, Prime Minister Erdogan stated the intention to strengthen the work with the OSCE, and I would like also to thank the OSCE President, the General Secretary, for the work that they have done to also support the Albanian chairmanship. I also welcome 2020 Office of the Coordinator of the OSCE Economic and Environment Activities Work Plan of the second dimension. Issues such as connectivity, tackling social-economic disparities through effective migration governance, economic empowerment and human capital development, water management, disaster risk reduction, climate change, hazard, waste management, energy and security and environmental good governance are all very relevant to our daily work. In striving to complement the above-mentioned efforts and bring a distinct OSCE contribution in my report for Vancouver, I plan to highlight several issues under two main block areas: environmental security and economic security. More specifically, I will consider water security, energy security and renewable energy, connectivity, climate change, innovation technology, good governance, corruption and migration management. Please allow me to briefly reflect upon that. Water security is a growing issue for the OSCE area, with certain regions more prone to experience a water crisis. Central Asia, for instance, have been affected by two massive environmental disasters in recent years: the pollution of Caspian Sea and the by now irreversible drying up of Aral Sea. The 2018 SDG report found that conflict and climate change were major contributing factors, leading to growing numbers of people facing hunger and forced displacement, as well as curtailing progress towards universal access to basic water and sanitation services. Energy security is a precondition for economic growth and stability. Without predictable, reliable and economically sound energy supplies, regional economies cannot prosper. Therefore, energy security forms an important part of the OSCE's concept of comprehensive security. Energy is central to nearly every major challenge and opportunities that the world is facing today. According to the SDG agenda, there are approximately 3 billion people who lack access to clean cooking solutions and are exposed to dangerous levels of air pollution. Fortunately, progress has been made in the past decade regarding the use of renewable electricity from water, solar and wind power, and the rate of energy use per unit of GDP is also declining. To promote a common approach towards safe, sustainable and inclusive energy systems, we could accelerate the pace of innovation in sustainable energy and distributed energy solutions, support the use of new technology to enhance the resilience, reliability, accessibility and affordability of energy supplies, work together to protect critical infrastructure from natural and man-made threats. Transportation, the ability to move people, goods and services, drives the world's economy. The OSCE welcomes also OSCE activities aiming at assisting participating states to enhance their capabilities across the region in successfully engaging in international trade and transport and improving mechanisms for trade facilitation. It is important to improve coordination of national and international efforts to tackle transport security challenges, as well as to support dialogue on sustainable transport to promote more effective policies for cleaner and more energy-efficient transportation. Climate change. The weather patterns are changing. Sea levels are rising. Weather events are becoming more extreme, and the greenhouse gas emissions are now at the highest level in history. Without decisive action, the world's average surface temperature is likely to surpass 3 Celsius in this century. The poorest and the most vulnerable people will be most affected by this phenomenon, will impact all citizens in our regions. Against this backdrop, we need to urgently mitigate the negative effects of climate change and build resilience within our society. In parallel, we should implement measures which will stop and hopefully reverse the process before it's too late. In this context, we should join forces with our special representatives on Arctic issues, Madame Toriel Eichen, to strengthen coordinated international response to extreme weather events, to build technical and institutional capacity on climate change globally in line with Paris Agreement requirements, use new energy and propulsion technologies to help curb emissions of climate-damaging greenhouse gases, to promote public-private partnerships for the sustainable use of natural resources. I look forward to an inspiring special debate on this topic later in this session. With regards to innovation and digitalizations, innovation and digitalization are key vectors for sustainable and inclusive economic development. The Luxembourg Declaration recognized that the rapid digitalization process taking place across the OSCE area and is generating substantial changes in all spheres of life and carries many security implications and opportunities for cross-border cooperation and confidence building, including in the economic and environmental dimension. Notably, digital transformation is currently being discussed in all major economic fora, OECD events, World Economic Forum, OSCE Economic and Environment Forum, and more. Consequently, the report will focus on the use of emergency technologies, for example, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, to ensure equality and inclusiveness and safety as well. Addressing youth employment with innovative education, skills and job-focused trade strategies. Improving good governance through innovation and technology is a distinct priority of the Albanian chairmanship of the OSCE. And I'm also glad and happy that we have also representatives of the Albanian chairmanship here in this office. Our Luxembourg declarations urge national parliaments to develop legislative proposals with the aim to prevent and combat corruption, money laundering and financing of terrorism. The work of our special representative on fighting corruption, Madame Irene Karalabiadis, to promote a more active engagement of national parliaments in this context is important, and we look forward also to enhance gender issues across our dimension and to work more also on this year. In trying to build synergy with the above mentioning efforts, in my report also I'll explore the use of the new technologies and digitalization to strengthen integrity in the public sector, to increase public access to information and transparency, as well as to promote open governance and digitalization of public services. The proper management of migration, a very natural human process that has always existed and likely will always exist, continues to pose several challenges to our participating states, but is also offered remarkable opportunities for development, integration and peace. My report also will highlight both these aspects in the balanced management. Dear colleagues, national parliaments play a key role in shaping sound legislative and policy frameworks which advance sustainable development and security. You have heard my preliminary ideas for Vancouver. Now I look forward to your constructive comments so that I might build on them while preparing the final report. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ilona, for a comprehensive presentation of the ideas and the points which are now proposed to be presented in the report. And now, dear colleagues, we will have a debate on this presentation, and speaking time will be limited up to 2 minutes for one intervention. And I call first Mr. Andrei Savinych from Belarus. Please, Mr. Savinych, the floor is yours.
Благодарю вас, господин председатель. Прежде всего, хотелось бы поблагодарить заместителя председателя Общего комитета по экономическим вопросам, науки и технологий окружающей среды господина Артура Герасимова и докладчика комитета госпожу Илону Фокса за презентацию идей, которые будут заложены в доклад комитета на предстоящей сессии по ОССЕ в Ванкувере. Они представляют собой хорошую пищу для ума и задают необходимые ориентиры в контексте оптимизации наших усилий на экономико-экологическом треке. Один из приоритетов Беларуси в рамках ОБСЕ и в рамках его парламентского измерения является укрепление роли второй корзины в концепции всеобъемлющей безопасности. Мы убеждены, что усиление второго измерения является ценным инструментом повышения доверия, стимулирования конструктивного диалога, снижения напряженности и предотвращения конфликтов на пространстве ОБСЕ. Реализуя указанный приоритет, белорусские парламентарии уже инициировали ряд резолюций, поддержанных большинством членов Ассамблеи. Так, в итоговую Люксембургскую декларацию прошлого года была включена белорусская резолюция по теме «Стратегическое прогнозирование в областях науки, технологий и инноваций в целях устойчивого развития». В ходе 27-й ежегодной сессии в Берлине при поддержке наших соавторов и партнеров в итоговую декларацию была включена резолюция продвижения цифровой экономики в интересах обеспечения экономического роста на пространстве ОБСЕ. В контексте дальнейшего развития цифровой темы, в том числе в плане изучения влияния цифровизации на экономическую и экологическую безопасность, я хотел бы анонсировать запланированную на май 2020 года в Минске международную конференцию по тематике развития цифровой экономики. Эта конференция организуется белорусской стороной совместно с Офисом координатора экономико-экологической деятельности ОБСЕ и Комиссией ООН по международному торговому праву ЮНЦИТРАЛ. Надеемся, что это мероприятие вызовет также интерес и у коллег-парламентариев и желание внести свой вклад в эту конференцию. В заключение хотел бы подтвердить готовность парламентской делегации Беларуси и в дальнейшем конструктивно подключаться к сотрудничеству на экономико-экологическом направлении, используя опыт и наилучшие практики белорусской стороны. Благодарю за внимание.
Thank you very much, Mr. Savinych. And now let me invite Mr. Gennady Onishchenko from Russian Federation. Please, Mr. Onishchenko, the floor is yours.
докладчик. На мой взгляд, вы представили достаточно полный обзор тех проблем, которые сегодня нужно решать на проекте представительной власти наших стран. Но, тем не менее, мне представляется важным сделать несколько акцентов, которые должны прозвучать в итоговом нашем докладе на 27-й конференции, которая будет в Ванкувере. Но прежде всего мы должны работать на том направлении, куда нас делегировали наши страны. Это прежде всего законодательно. И раздел законодательного сопровождения проблем экологии, проблем миграции, мне кажется, должен быть в вашем докладе представлен как на направлении анализа страновых нормативных актов, которые применяются сегодня в наших странах, насколько они соответствуют тем наднациональным решениям, которые мы с вами принимали, и не только мы принимали по этому направлению. И вот на этом как раз направлении нужно, безусловно, усилить ваш доклад. Что касается моей страны, то мы сегодня работаем над законами по обеспечению биологической, химической безопасности, законами, которые принципиально изменяют ситуацию по ликвидации и производству твердых коммунальных отходов. И такой опыт с моей стороны, мне кажется, мог бы интересен быть всем другим странам. Что касается энергетики, конечно, мы можем говорить о возобновляемой энергетике, мы должны с вами не оставлять в стороне те традиционные источники энергетики, которые сегодня у нас используются. Это и угольная, и гидроэнергетика, и, конечно же, атомная энергетика, которая уже в этом тысячелетии нам поднесла очень серьезный вызов в виде фукусимской трагедии, которая касается не только Юго-Восточной Азии, но и всех стран. Поэтому, мне кажется, вот этот раздел вашего доклада тоже должен быть, содержать этот обзор, конечно, те пути, которые мы с вами должны принять в наших странах и в целом в нашем регионе по обеспечению, с одной стороны, использования этих видов традиционной энергии, с другой стороны, их, так сказать, до надлежащей их безопасности. В целом, то, что вы назвали в своем докладе, мне кажется, в полной мере отражает все те направления, которые сегодня актуальны для наших стран. Но хотелось бы, чтобы в процессе подготовки мы получили более на ранних стадиях, может быть, сыграли определенную роль в конкретизации вашего обзорного доклада, который касается всех нас, и сделать нашу 29-ю конференцию более продуктивной. Благодарю вас.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nishenka. And now let me pass the floor to Mr. Zoltan Fenereci from Hungary. Mr. Fenereci, the floor is yours, please.
Herr Präsident, Exzellenzen, meine Damen und Herren! Zuerst möchte ich mich bei Ihnen dafür bedanken, dass Sie sich für das Thema in der Debatte der Parlamentarischen Versammlung der OSCE entschieden haben. Dieses Thema verdeutlicht die Relevanz der Wirtschafts- und Umweltfragen für die Sicherheit unserer Länder und Bürger nicht nur als wichtige Maßnahme, sondern auch, weil dieses Thema die Sicherheit und Stabilität in unserer Region direkt beeinflussen können. Die Internationale Organisation für Migration rechnet bis 2050 mit 200 Millionen Umweltmigranten, welche sich entweder innerhalb ihrer Länder oder grenzübertretend in Bewegung befinden. Der Klimawandel und die globale Wasserkrise sind eine unserer größten globalen Herausforderungen und eine der wichtigsten Ursachen für Migrationsströme. Es wird erwartet, dass bis Mitte dieses Jahrhunderts 4,8 Milliarden Menschen in Gebieten leben, in denen Wasserstress herrscht. Bis 2030 werden 700 Millionen Menschen aufgrund der starken Wasserknappheit ihr Haus verlassen. Ungarn ist sich der Tatsache bewusst, dass die Anstrengungen eines Landes allein nicht ausreichen werden. Wenn wir die negativen Folgen des Klimawandels erfolgreich reduzieren, wird erwartet, dass weniger Menschen vertrieben werden. Die ungarische Politik in der internationalen Entwicklungszusammenarbeit basiert auf zwei Säulen: Bekämpfung der Ursachen mit Migration vor Ort und Aufbau langfristiger Wirtschaftspartnerschaften. Herr Präsident, abschließend möchte ich Ihnen und Ihrem Team zum bisherigen geleisteten Arbeit gratulieren. Vielen Dank für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit.
Thank you very much. Now let me pass the floor to our next colleague, Mr. Bakit Tarabayev from Kyrgyzstan. Mr. Tarabayev, the floor is yours, please.
Dear participants of the meeting, currently climate change has become a threat to the safety and sustainable development of mankind, which leads to natural disasters and emergencies. These negative consequences affect the entire world community. Particularly concerned is the rapid melting of millennial glaciers. The area of glaciation in the Kyrgyz Republic can be reduced by an average of 32 to 40%. Central Asia has significant potential for the transition to green energy, which will completely satisfy the needs of Central Asian countries in terms of electricity. This is a prerequisite for sustainable development and reduction of greenhouse gas emissions in the world. Numerous uranium tailing ponds are located in Central Asia. The condition of them have deteriorated significantly. There is a substantial risk of occurring serious catastrophe for localities with a population of 12 million people. The Kyrgyz Republic, in collaboration with key international partners, is working on finding effective measures to prevent an imminent catastrophe. Dear members of the Assembly, the Kyrgyz Republic hopes that due to the intensified attention of the international community to these problems, it would be possible to prevent environmental risks of a regional scale, the risks of humanitarian crisis, and ensure sustainable development of the countries in the Central Asian regions. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for your intervention. And now, dear colleagues, this is all who wanted to intervene during this debate. Now let me pass the floor now to our rapporteur, Ms. Ilona Oksa, for some short comment after debate. Please, Ilona, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you also, colleagues. I would like from Belarus, Russia, Hungary, and Kyrgyzstan for your comments, thoughts, and suggestions. It's very important that your comments should be further elaborated and be also reflected in our final report. Definitely, all the comments regarding the digital economy, also the legislative and the role of the parliamentarians in developing the legislative proposals are also quite important. And I would like also to mention also the previous declaration, the Luxembourg Declaration, Article 37, which emphasized the essential role of the national parliaments to develop the legislative proposals with the aim of advancing sustainable development, human rights, including economic and social rights, and security. Definitely, we are committed, and we also reflect this in our final report, which is also the work of the parliamentarians, in fact. Also, the importance of the climate change, water crisis, refugees management, environmental risk, all are also key points which has been also mentioned in my report. Of course, in the final one there will be much more details and they will be developed further. I would like also to thank the colleague from Belarus for inviting us in this international conference that they are planning to do. And I think it's quite important, the digital economy and the role that it's playing, and we look forward to this conference and to the output of this conference. Also, the water security I mentioned is also the growing issue for the OSCE area, and definitely I mentioned also the environmental disasters, which also will be included in our final report. And we all know that conflict and climate change are also major factors which are contributing to a lot of problems that people are facing, and we have to face this all together with a comprehensive approach and with a proper strategy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ilona. And dear colleagues, now we are moving to the next topic of our agenda, but when we're speaking about the report which will be made and voted during our committee meetings in the annual session in Vancouver, please use any opportunity here today, tomorrow, to speak with Ilona, to share your thoughts, to share your ideas for this report, because I think we can move as much as possible ideas from any delegation to be present at the report and not to miss them in the annual session. Thank you very much. And now, dear colleagues, we are moving to the next point of our agenda. As you know, the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly Winter Meeting in Vienna provides for us an opportunity for interaction with the OSCE executive structures on the latest developments related to our common areas of work. And Ambassador Asadov, Ambassador Zhukic, and it's my privilege to welcome you to this meeting. First of all, I want to say thank you for your time and that you find the opportunity to visit our committee meeting. And also, I want to make some short comments that under the impulse of our former chair, Nils Asena, our committee has reached out more consistently to the OSCE executive structures over the last few years. Our goal was and remains to better align our respective agendas and work plans, bringing increased visibility and continuity to our common efforts. As such, we have contributed to several OSCE initiatives, both in terms of policy making and expert debates, including in the framework of the OSCE Second Dimension events. Against this backdrop, we greatly appreciated that our increased engagement was reflected in both draft ministerial text prepared for the last council in Bratislava. I think this is only the beginning, and I invite all OSCE delegations and executive structures to actively engage with our parliamentarians on economic and environmental issues. Our citizens, whom we represent, deserve to be heard and to the extent possible associated to your very valiant efforts. In this context, and following the established tradition, we will now hear the plans of OSCE Economic and Environmental Committee for this year, and Ambassador Sherzod Azadov, the newly appointed chair of the OSCE Economic and Environmental Committee, has kindly agreed to share his views with our parliamentarians today. So, Your Excellency, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, distinguished members of the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly, dear Excellencies. It is a great privilege to participate at today's meeting of the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly and to address the Committee on Economic Affairs, Science, Technology and Environment. Allow me to warmly thank the Albanian chairmanship for giving Uzbekistan a great chance and confidence to chair the Economic and Environmental Committee this year and further continue and proceed with our systemic work in the committee. Moreover, I wish to thank the previous Slovak chairmanship for its devoted and successful work and our excellent cooperation in 2019. I present here also my sincere thanks to the previous chair of the EEC, Ambassador Kairat Saribay, permanent representative of the Republic of Kazakhstan to the OSCE, for his excellent job during the last 3 years. In 2019, EEC has successfully continued the efforts aimed at strengthening the second dimension in promoting security, stability, prosperity and cooperation in the OSCE region. We can look back towards a very fruitful year. As chair of the Economic and Environmental Committee, I would like to provide a general outline of the work of the EEC for 2020. The 2020 EEC will reflect the commitments in a dedicated, result-oriented way in line with the Albanian chairmanship's priorities. Ladies and gentlemen, the program of the EEC work consolidates all the ideas and proposals expressed during substantive consultations with the chairmanship, the delegations of the OSCE participating states, and the Office of the Coordinator of OSCE Economic and Environmental Activities. The agenda will give us the priority and opportunity to effectively address both economic and environmental issues related to security and cooperation in the OSCE area. We plan to conduct 9 EEC meetings throughout the year, 5 of which will be thematic ones. During these thematic EECs, we will elaborate on the role of youth in protection of the environment, the role of corruption in undermining human capital development and the investment climate, economic policies and legislative frameworks that enhance good environmental governance, the impact of the digital transformation on the labor market, and promoting good governance in water management will also be among the themes to be discussed this year. We will continue the involvement of delegations in the discussion in the EEC, a well-perceived practice which was started last year during the Slovak chairmanship. Hence, we invite participating states to present recent developments that have taken place in their countries in the implementation of their commitments. This is either by adopting new legislation or by implementing specific activities, projects, or by sharing the outcomes of key events. This year, we are planning to talk about promoting equal opportunity for women in the economic sphere, promotion of tourism to ensure economic growth and environmental protection, and facilitation of a conducive environment for promoting digital trade and transport connectivity. Together with the Albanian chairmanship, we seek to increase the interaction of delegations with OSCE field operations. Thus, representatives from the field will highlight their project activities in the economic and environmental spheres within the framework of EEC meetings. The topics which I just mentioned set out the key areas where we can and have to cooperate to harness all potentials and to reinforce the work of the second dimension. I'm committed to ensure that the EEC work will significantly assist OSCE participating states in achieving the goals of the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Furthermore, I would like to applaud to our excellent collaboration with the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly and the substantial contribution by Ms. Irene Paralambidis, OSCE Parliamentary Assembly Special Representative on Fighting Corruption. In the framework of the first preparatory meeting of the 28th OSCE Economic and Environmental Forum, she noted that political will is key to bringing about change in fighting corruption, and therefore a change in mentality at all levels is urgently needed. Our interdependent work requires an inclusive and multi-stakeholder approach as the main path for fruitful cooperation. From this perspective, we intend to welcome the active engagement of a wide range of stakeholders in our discussions, including the OSCE EPA and the private sector. By providing important stakeholders with a platform for dialogue together with governments, we will explore new perspectives in diverse, interconnected policy areas with the view to improving our cooperation. Lastly, let me turn to the 28th Economic and Environmental Forum, which carries the title Promoting Security, Stability and Economic Growth in the OSCE area by preventing and combating corruption through innovation, increased transparency and digitalization. The forum is a credible and efficient political platform to examine core economic and environmental aspects of security. The first preparatory meeting was successfully held here in Vienna on 17th and 18th February and was devoted to challenges and opportunities in preventing and combating corruption, through digitalization and increased transparency, enhancing transparency through asset declarations and participatory approaches, and combating corruption by enhancing good environmental governance through transparency and innovations. The second preparatory meeting will take place in May in Tirana, and the concluding meeting of the Economic and Environmental Forum will take place on 10th and 11th of September in Prague. We will consider all the recommendations, best practices, and substantive ideas generated during the forum process, which has started just recently. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm firmly convinced that the Prague's EEF deliberations, synergized with the outcomes of the committee's work and with the Economic and Environmental Dimension implementation meeting in October, will create the solid foundations for meaningful deliverables at the Ministerial Council in Albania in December. As a chair of the Second Dimension Committee, I would like to reassure you we will make every effort with the view to achieving practical results in a cooperative and productive spirit with the support of the Office of the Coordinator of OSCE economic and environmental activities led by distinguished Ambassador Vujovic, OSCE participating states, and other OSCE structures. In conclusion, I'm confident that in 2020 the OSCE economic and environmental dimension will accomplish further progress on many related issues. I thank you for your attention and I'm looking forward to your comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador, for your presentation. And of course, our committee is ready to support your work, as we did with your excellent predecessor, Ambassador Sergei from Kazakhstan. And also, one more time, thank you very much. And now, let me pass the floor to the Ambassador Vujovic, who is a coordinator of OSCE economic and environmental activities. And I'm quite eager to learn more about your priorities, Ambassador. I also hope that together we can explore new pragmatic ways in which the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly, and our committee in particular, may contribute to the important work of the OSCE executive structures. So, Ambassador, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, distinguished members of the Parliamentary Assembly, ladies and gentlemen. First, I wish to thank you for the opportunity offered to me to address this meeting of the General Committee on Economic Affairs, Science, Technology and Environment. Before starting, I would like to take this opportunity to stress the growing and fruitful interaction between the Office of the Coordinator and the Second Committee of the Parliamentary Assembly, including in the framework of the Economic and Environmental Forum, EDIN, and the EEC meetings. A few weeks ago, I presented the work plan of my office for this year. Our efforts have been focused on making a clear link among the main elements of the proposed unified budget for this year, including the most relevant OSCE documents, the priorities of the chairmanships, including the requests received from the participating states and the activities we plan to implement. We have aligned our activities to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, putting additional efforts into closer partnership with other international and regional organizations, civil society, business and academia. The work plan represents a combination of policy work, targeted technical assistance and policy advice, capacity building, and sharing of expertise and best practices, which are all important elements of our assistance to participating states in the effective formulation and implementation of economic and environmental policies and activities for security and stability in our region. Close cooperation with the OSCE executive structures, the OSCE PA, and our field operations, as well as partnerships with other regional and international organizations, are among the continued features for this year. Over the past years, we continue to engage them in the large majority of our activities, and we will look for an even closer interaction. This allows us to create opportunities for fruitful synergies and avoid duplication of each other's works. I indeed believe that strengthening cross-dimensionality and promoting regional cooperation are key features for security and stability. In this regard, let me also stress that considering the impact that digital transformation has on our economies and societies, but also the potential that digital transformation has to enhance cooperation within the economic and environmental dimensions, we will continue to look at areas of concrete engagement. In this regard, I was delighted to meet your Special Rapporteur on Digital Agenda, Ms. Miladinovic, and look at possible areas where we can work together. Let me also mention that for many of the economic and environmental challenges of our world is facing, we have to realize that gender inequality exacerbates vulnerabilities, increases security risks, and limits the effectiveness and responsiveness of policies. Therefore, in all of our activities, we pay due consideration to equal participation of women and to gender mainstreaming. In particular, we are implementing a number of activities aimed at enhancing the entrepreneurial skills of women, with specific focus on those in vulnerable and marginalized situations. Moreover, we are stepping up our efforts to put more focus on youth, not only by involving young people in our events, but also by reinforcing the youth perspective into the projects and other activities we are implementing. I believe that we can all agree with the words of wisdom that prevention is better than cure, and this is particularly relevant for a security organization like ours. Since the establishment of this position, this approach has guided the programmatic efforts of the office tasked inter alia to, and I quote, assess potential security risks stemming wholly or in part from economic, social, and environmental factors, and to offer added value of the OSCE's unique political and security perspective. End of the quote. We do so by following the path first set by 2003 Maastricht Strategy, which clearly puts cooperation as both a key element of the OSCE and as an essential way to enhance security and stability and to prevent possible conflicts in the OSCE region. Our ultimate goal in all activities we implemented is in effect, and I quote, to avoid new divisions and to narrow disparities between and within countries and to achieve sustainable results. And this is done by promoting good governance throughout many of the areas of engagement, including by implementing activities aimed at preventing corruption, promoting good environmental governance, or through supporting water diplomacy, just to name a few examples. The Office will support reforms, build competencies, provide tailored and targeted technical assistance and policy advice to the participating states, identify and tackle key economic and environmental challenges. For this year, 4 main areas of activities have been identified in the economic field: combating corruption, money laundering, fostering asset recovery, and suppressing the financing of terrorism. Second, enhancing connectivity through facilitation of trade, transport, and customs, migrations, and finally, human capital development and economic participation. In the environmental area, priority will be given to water management, disaster risk reduction, climate change, hazardous waste management, environmental good governance, and energy security and sustainable energy. Ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned several times, the Office's efforts in implementing our mandates are focused on avoiding duplications and to maximize the efficiency of the limited human and financial resources. Due to the expanding agenda resulting from additional tasks by our decisions of ministerial councils, more requests coming from participating states, and the limited amount of funds secured by the unified budget, also in this year, the OSCE should rely on the XB support. Indeed, this support we are receiving from several participating states is key in the implementation of our mandate. Without it, we would not be able to implement our growing activities. Let me take this opportunity to thank all those participating states that have secured in 2019 extra budgetary contributions of around €1.5 million against an operational unified budget of slightly more than €300,000, and also that have seconded their experts to my office. Before concluding, I am very pleased to inform you that last week, in close cooperation with the current Albanian chairmanship, we successfully organized the first preparatory meeting in the Economic and Environmental Forum, focused on promoting security, stability, and economic growth in the OSCE area by preventing and combating corruption through innovation, increased transparency, and digitalization. I very much appreciate the contribution of your colleague, Ms. Haralvides, your special representative on fighting corruption, for having shared her valuable experience from the OSCE PA. My warm gratitude goes to Professor Paula Severino for her indispensable efforts as a special representative chairperson in office on combating corruption. Our discussions in the framework of the Economic and Environmental Forum have shown that digitalization and technological innovation are reshaping economic systems and societies, and that good governance, anti-corruption measures, social responsibility, and education are key for promoting peace and security, strengthening cooperation, and ultimately stimulating inclusive economic growth in our area. Indeed, the digital means are well designed and used properly. They can help us promote a favorable investment climate and accelerate economic growth, thus creating new business realities which lead to more secure and stable societies. In this regard, the success in addressing issues such as e-governance, economic connectivity, and green energy, while promoting digital security, will deepen in large measure on whether we can interact with the private sector in a meaningful manner while taking appropriate measures to reduce the gender-digital gap and the threats it poses to the economic, social, and political progress. The gender-digital gap poses a threat to the economic, social, and political progress because it restricts the full participation of women in formal and informal economies, equal access to legal and financial institutions, information, access to education, and social interactions. We need to make sure to work towards reducing and eradicating this gap in our area. I believe that OSCE is well placed to discuss the main challenges to security that digitalization poses to our economies, including in the areas of energy and good governance. I look forward to the continuation of our discussions at the second preparatory meeting in May in Tirana. It has been a great pleasure to share with you these important elements of our comprehensive work program this year, and I'm looking forward to any comments or questions you might have. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. We greatly appreciate your leadership in this field and look forward to close cooperation with your office in the year 2020. And now, dear colleagues, the list of speakers are closed for all debates of today our committee meeting. And before we will start the debate, let me pass the floor to our rapporteur Foxa for the question to our ambassadors who just shared with us their thoughts about second dimension. Please, Laura.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Thank you, Ambassador Zukic, for all your report and your speech. I appreciate very much the attention given in all your activities with relation to the gender equality and gender mainstreaming. Coming from a country which has progressed and has implemented gender equality in terms of parity, in terms of electoral legislation, I'm very interested to cooperate with your office on these issues. And to this end, I would like from you, if you can elaborate, where do you see the concrete potential of cooperation with your office and OCPA with regard to the gender equality and related to this equality? Thank you very much.
Do you want to answer this question now, ambassadors? Okay, let's open the debate, and after ambassadors, in conclusion, after the debate, we'll answer all the questions which will be addressed to them during our debates. So now we are moving to the debate on the agenda item number 4. Speaking time will be limited up to 2 minutes per intervention, and let me now pass the floor to Mr. Alexander Fokin from Russian Federation. Please, Mr. Fokin, the floor is yours.
Спасибо, господин председатель. Всякого сомнения мы поддерживаем те доклады, которые сегодня прозвучали. Вместе с тем обращаем ваше внимание на то, что фактически климат настолько изменился, что русской зимы уже в Москве нет. У нас температура выше нормы на 10-12 градусов, поэтому вопросы стабильного развития, вопросы энергетики, они, безусловно, имеют особое значение. Понятно, что мировое сообщество нуждается в увеличении доли электроэнергии на душу населения для динамичного, стабильного экономического роста. И эта энергия должна быть экологически чистой, о чем мы здесь говорим, и вместе с тем достаточно устойчивой. Такими источниками безуглеродной генерации являются гидроэлектроэнергия, солнечная, ветряная и атомная генерация. Мы эти источники не ставим в конкуренцию. Обычно мы в России считаем, что они дополняют друг друга. Мы называем их сочетание зеленым квадратом. Почему зеленый квадрат, скажите вы мне? Есть оппоненты в отношении атомной энергетики, но я могу сказать, что вся планета на планете Земля, все деревья поглощают порядка 2,5 миллиарда тонн углекислого газа. Если мы с экспертами посмотрим, сколько вырабатывают атомные станции, блокируя выброс углекислого газа, это 2 миллиарда тонн углекислого газа каждый год. Почти все, что потребляет по объему лес на планете Земля. Понятно, что за эти годы, конечно, Российская Федерация внесла огромный вклад для того, чтобы мы сократили выбросы углекислого газа в атмосферу. Как это происходит? Ну, для примера, дорогие коллеги, если мы возьмем с вами топливную таблетку 4-5 грамм урана, генерирует столько же энергии, сколько 360 метров кубических газа, 350 баррелей нефти, полтонны угля, это 500 килограмм, и почти 1000 килограмм древесины. Это 4-5 грамма урана. Поэтому не случайно во Франции и в ряде других стран атомная энергетика имеет особое значение. Я считаю, что в Ванкувере мы должны эти темы тоже поднять. и обсудить, почему. Зеленый квадрат, он позволяет нам решить те проблемы, с которыми мы сегодня сталкиваемся планетой Земля. Мы видим, что шапки в Антарктиде тают, Земля наживая, пытается сбалансировать температуру океана. Пока это получается, но мы вместе с тем считаем, что эта тема колоссально важная и требует дальнейшего обсуждения. Сегодня Российская Федерация один из лидеров, 70% мирового рынка зарубежного строительства атомных станций – это Российская Федерация. За эти годы построено 101 энергоблок, и мы сейчас строим 15 энергоблоков в различных странах мира, в том числе 36 атомных энергоблоков за рубежом. Это 70% всего рынка. Почему откликаются страны? Потому что это экологически все-таки чистый вид энергии. И второй, на каждый вложенный доллар и в атомную станцию, прирост в экономику любой страны, которая идет по этому пути, 4,3 доллара. Это большая экономика, большая экологическая культура, и эти темы, безусловно, они требуют особого внимания нашей организации. Спасибо за внимание.
Thank you very much, Mr. Forkin. And now let me pass the floor to our next speaker, Mr. Hamazas Danilan from Armenia. Please, Mr. Danilan, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson. I want to commend the work of Rapporteur, Ms. Rosa, as well as contribution of ambassadors. And I want to speak a little bit about corruption. We welcome the priority of OSCE Albanian chairmanship on fighting corruption and comprehensive approach of the chairmanship in addressing the issue in all three dimensions of the OSCE. First preparatory meeting of the OSCE Economic and Environmental Forum, which took place in Vienna only a few days ago, addressed the challenges and best experiences of fighting corruption. During this meeting, Armenia had an opportunity to present its experience on corruption prevention commission and the work of the establishment of anti-corruption committee. In this context, we commend the cooperation with OSCE, namely within the framework of the anti-corruption extra-budgetary project implemented within the Armenian Cooperation Project. Only 1 year ago, when I was first talking in this committee, I again concentrated about corruption, and I am glad that I am able to report a little bit about the success of fighting corruption in my country. Around 350 cases resulted in return of more than $100 billion to the state budget. This is one of the indicators of the success, because this is a sum that exceeds the similar sum during the preceding decade. But what is more important and valuable, or in fact maybe invaluable, is the unprecedented level of public trust towards political and state institutions, including the democratically elected parliament, which I am honored to represent here. Of course, much should be done both to make this effort more robust and institutional, through systemic and very careful reform of political institutions, and most notably the judicial branch, which still lags behind in terms of level of public trust. However, despite this, even after almost 2 years of democratic violent revolution in my country, more than half of the population have a very positive attitude towards the future of my country. And fighting corruption is one of the cornerstones of this attitude. In fact, I believe that strong economic performance of Armenia, with more than 7.6 GDP growth for only 2019, is caused because of this positive attitude. And fighting corruption is going to be a priority for my country for the future as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Danilan. And now let me pass the floor to our next speaker, Mr. Nabi Avci from Turkey. Mr. Avci, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. And we would like to thank both ambassadors for their Council's presentations, highlighting the added value of economic and environmental security, its unique concept of comprehensive security, and we also congratulate Ambassador Renata Savo for taking over the chairmanship of the Economic and Environmental Committee. I wish you all success in this important task. I think we can all agree that the economic and environmental dimension of OSCE provides a terrain where common and less conflicting interests can contribute to restore dialogue and trust among the participating states. In this regard, we see many positive elements in both the report and your presentations, especially on your 2020 working plans. We are also glad to see the connectivity-related issues in your working program. Connectivity agenda has indeed a particular significance from the Parliamentary Assembly's perspective. As you will all recall, we have adopted a resolution on promoting connectivity through development of transport links, corridors, and including by revitalizing the ancient Silk Road 2 years ago in Berlin. As stated in this resolution, the connectivity is a key concept for economic cooperation to create better conditions for employment, to generate jobs, and to diversify economies, and thus contributing to their economic and social development. In this respect, we have the pleasure to host the 4th International Conference of the Silk Road Support Group on 8 to 10 April in Istanbul. The theme of this conference has a particular significance to reflect the contribution of the OSCE to economic and environmental security. The theme is the role of middle corridor, enhancing infrastructural, economic, and cultural connectivity along the ancient Silk Road. So, I'm pleased to invite all interested colleagues to Istanbul in April, and especially Ambassador Asadov, Coordinator Ambassador Zugic, and of course the reporter, and all interested colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ashir. So, we now finish the debates, and dear investors, can you kindly make some conclusions, answer the questions, and make final comments after our debate? Please, Mr. Azadov, the floor is yours, and after this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excellencies, dear colleagues, first of all, thank you very much to our colleagues from Russian Federation, from Armenia and Turkey for your valuable comments and important recommendations which you made. The Albanian OSCE chairmanship and Uzbekistan's chairmanship in this committee intends to strengthen the dialogue between all participating states in the second dimension. This year we are planning to meet more with each other. We are planning to organize more events among the participating states with the only aim to make our work more of a use for more useful and with more practical results for all participating states that will then capitalize, of course, by the end of the year in some good deliverables during the Ministerial Council. This is our main intention, and the same goes to the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly. We will be looking forward to work closely with all of you through the year, and I thank you very much for your recommendations with regards to the energy, corruption, and the connectivity issues. We've tried actually to incorporate all these topics into the work plan of the committee. but the work plan of the committee is not a holy mantra. It will be readjusted, it will be further developed through the year, and we hope that with your very strong support we will succeed this year. And I would also like to thank the delegation of Turkey for inviting us to the conference in Turkey on 8th and 10th of April. We will definitely, at least from my part, will take active part in this conference. In closing, I would also like to underline once again that the committee, as I reiterated already, will be open to work with the Parliamentary Assembly. We have a very big agenda which has to be delivered. Unfortunately, last year we were not able to have any deliverables during the Ministerial Council, although I understand that probably deliverables are not the main thing in our work, but sometimes I think we should somehow justify our presence here in the OSCE and in the Parliamentary Assembly by delivering good decisions which promote economic and environmental security, and I will be hoping and looking forward to your continuous support through the year in this endeavor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. And now, Ambassador Zhukic, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I would like to join Ambassador Asadov in thanking all colleagues who participated in this discussion after our presentations. And also I can reiterate what the chair of the committee already said. When you see the topics which we learn and listen, this is very much correlated with the activities of my office and the agenda in the second dimension in the organization. So in general, we believe that you raised very pertinent and priority topics for all of us, be it in executive structures or in the parliamentary wing. And of course, from our side, I would like to reiterate our readiness to continue close cooperation and work on joint projects and joint topics. And before concluding, just to make a short remark on the question by your rapporteur. Well, I do believe that concretely what we can see the possible activities and synergies between us is, for instance, the topics on economic empowerment agreement. We do have a number of concrete activities in Armenia, in Central Asia, in some thematic topics like water governance, etc. So these are, I believe, a very good point for working together, because economic empowerment and support of entrepreneurship is something I believe that all participating states, all 57, can work together. With this, once again, many thanks to be invited here. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. And all of us knows that the real base for the effective solving of the problems is effective cooperation between parliamentarians and executive structures. And I want to prove one more time that our committee is open for this cooperation, and we will appreciate any ideas, any steps which will improve our activity and activity of our colleagues from OSCE executive structures. So, dear colleagues, before we proceed with the special debate, I would like to say a few words about the issue we are going to discuss. For the first time, environmental concerns dominate the top long-term risks of the Global Risk Perception Survey of the World Economic Forum. This, I repeat, is unprecedented, and speaks clearly about the urgency of the challenges we are facing. In 2019, we have witnessed several shocking events linked to the unstable climate situation. The deadly heat wave that swept through Western Europe, new record lows in the Arctic sea ice sheet, unprecedented wildfires in Australia, California, Brazil, and the list goes on. While climate change is not necessarily the only cause of all these events, a hot, dry climate contributes to making these phenomena more frequent and intense, leaving us to deal with the often catastrophic consequences. And even when such events occur outside the OSCE region, we all know that their impact extends well beyond the countries affected. In fact, a global worrisome trend is quite obvious, as confirmed by thousands of scientists around the globe. More dramatic events are to be expected in the years to come, unfortunately. Dear colleagues, climate change is not merely an environmental problem. It is an issue which is transforming the way we are in the OSCE region and worldwide think about our own security. And the question therefore is, what role can we as parliamentarians play in this field? How can we help our countries build resilience and mitigate this negative trend on the one hand, and contribute to reverse this situation to avoid new tensions and conflicts in our region on the other? The time to act is clearly now. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Ms. Toril Ayçam and give her the floor to introduce this important special debate. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and thank you so much for choosing this topic. Mr. Chairman, and ladies and gentlemen, and dear colleagues, the Arctic environment is now heating more than 3 times the global average. This clearly leads to security implications and also underlines the importance of discussing the role of us as parliamentarians. The challenges in the Arctic are complex, and the most pressing one is indeed the effects of climate change on society and also security. Climate change is increasingly being included as an essential element of national and international security agendas. It is seen as a threat multiplier, intensifying existing threats to security and increasing environmental stress. The OSCE has dived into this topic before. The Environment and Security Initiative and the project Climate Change and Security in Eastern Europe, Central Asia and the Southern Caucasus were aimed to enhance understanding and awareness of climate change as a security challenge. What is happening in the Arctic shows us that the need of action is urgent. Research proves that the Arctic actually is the world's refrigerator, and the effects of climate changes hits harder there, and in addition to that, it will actually speed up the negative changes for the rest of the planet. What we're witnessing is not an Arctic phenomenon. It's a global phenomenon, and this will sooner or later affect us all. What happens in the Arctic does not remain in the Arctic. This is a motto we all should remember and keep in mind. The temperature in the Arctic is rising rapidly. This is a true indicator of the climate change we are facing. This has serious and very specific consequences. To name one, the permafrost is thawing, making the landscape more unstable and triggering landslides and avalanches. It's disrupting critical infrastructures. This affects people and also the societies in all parts of the Arctic. What we are witnessing are serious environmental security-related and social challenges, including special challenges for the indigenous people. There will be resettlements. There will be massive changes in communications, also in economy, in businesses, as well as hunting, herding, fishing, and also transportation. Therefore, a huge life change for Arctic communities and the people living there. Often, we think about the Arctic as just being a mass of ice, but it's not. Actually, there are 4 million people living there in the Arctic, and that's all OSCE citizens. As parliamentarians, we all know that challenges bring along not only threats, but also opportunities. Challenges and opportunities often tend to walk hand in hand, and it is our role to address them in a balanced fashion. The question now is how international organizations, and in our case, parliamentarians, can address such a, should we call it a challenge, or even mention a crisis. As parliamentarians, I would claim that we have three great assets. We can propose legislation, as you have already mentioned. We can hold our governments to account for their actions and for the implementation of laws and international commitments. And third of all, we are the direct link between our people and institutions. And this means that it is easier for us to raise awareness on these key issues. The role of a special representative is to ensure that these three assets are coordinated and amplified on a wider stage. Climate change needs to be addressed through regional and also multilateral cooperation. This is why we started to build partnerships with relevant international stakeholders, including the Council of Europe, the Arctic Council, and the Nordic Council. We need to explore how we best can give an added value to their efforts. The huge interest shown pleases me and underlines the potential in the OSCE PA's action. This means that parliamentarians can be actually extremely relevant if we make a full use of our capabilities. We are a platform of 57 states with a set of common values, and we are here to debate our common security. Climate change is a priority for the security of all of us, and we need to be united in addressing this. We need an inclusive debate on the environmental changes that we are witnessing. And it is really my big hope and also my wish that our debate will inspire and also promote relevant national initiatives and also legislations. And now I look forward to a further debate. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your introduction, and also thank you very much for your work as a special representative on Arctic issues, because it's really very important. And now let me immediately pass the floor to Mr. Lukas Rutinger, whose work in OSCE focuses on creating solutions for complex challenges and crises linked to environmental issues, as well as for socio-economic challenges such as rising inequality, government problems, and political instability. So, Mr. Rutinger, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly. First of all, also thank you from my side for letting me speak at this important forum. I will quickly cover three topics. First of all, I will talk a bit broader about the links between climate change and security, and I'll talk a bit about what the OSCE is doing to address these risks, and then talk about what you as parliamentarians can do to address the security implications of climate change. Not all of you might be aware what Delphi, the organization I'm working for, is. So we are a Berlin-based think tank and consultancy working on a broad range of sustainability topics, and since 15 years we've been specifically working on the links between climate change and security. And we have worked with the UN, the OSCE, the EU, different OSCE participating states and the G7 on one side on how to better understand the links between climate change and security, and then how to address these kind of risks. And what we can see is that climate change is increasingly affecting security and peace. So we live in a world of increasing pressures, increasing population growth, increasing unequal economic development, resource constraints, political instability, geopolitical tensions. And climate change interacts with these kind of pressures, and the speaker before already called that a threat multiplier. So climate change is acting as a multiplier for these threats. It's converging with existing pressures and exacerbating existing conflict and security risks. And a number of assessments for the OSCE region have identified different climate security risks that are shared across OSCE member states, despite their diversity. And one was already named quite a bit today: climate change negatively impacting water, energy, and food security, and increasing the challenges in the so-called water, energy, and agriculture nexus. So water is important for everyday life. It's also important for agriculture, for industrial production, for hydropower. And at the same time, energy is used to transport and treat water. So a problem in one of these areas is often a problem in all three areas. Climate change, we also heard that today from different sides, from different interventions, also participating states, is also increasing extreme weather events and disasters, such as floods, droughts, and storms. They are putting lives at risk, they're impacting critical infrastructure, and they can lead to the displacement of people. Climate change can also constrain natural resources and can contribute to competition over shared resources, especially transboundary waters, and that can strain the relationships between states and also contribute to more tensions. And then another last important set of risks are climate change impacts outside of the OSCE region. So these kinds of impacts outside the OSCE can contribute to instability and conflict, for example, in Africa, and that in turn can impact the OSCE region through international terrorism and or migration. So these trans-regional climate impacts are also important to keep in mind. The OSCE, with its comprehensive approach to security and in 3 dimensions, is uniquely placed to address these complex climate-related security risks. And it has done so since 2007 already. On the one hand, the OSCE has provided a platform for political dialogue on climate-related security risks, for example, as part of the OSCE Ministerial and Permanent Councils, the Economic and Environmental Forums, and its Security Days events. But the OSCE is also implementing activities on the ground. In particular, it has been working on assessing risks, for example, through participatory risk assessments and scenario development exercises. And it has also directly working on addressing these risks through development and implementation of transboundary strategies and activities that foster collaboration around security and climate issues. One practical example is the transboundary climate change adaptation strategy and implementation plan for the Dniester River Basin shared by Moldova and Ukraine. This and a lot of the other activities took place as part of a larger project the OSCE implemented from 2013 and 2017. That was also already named today on climate change and security in Eastern Europe, Central Asia, and the South Caucasus. And now, as a follow-up, the OSCE and we at the DERF have started to collaboratively implement a new project that started last year in 2019 on climate security risks in Southeastern Europe, Eastern Europe, Central Asia, and the South Caucasus region. It's a 3-year project, and it aims at fostering cooperative responses to climate security risks by, on the one hand, identifying and mapping potential climate security hotspots in Southeastern Europe. Second, developing and implementing climate security risk reduction and risk management strategies for selected transboundary hotspots in Southeastern Europe, Eastern Europe, the South Caucasus, and Central Asia. And then more broadly, raising awareness about the linkages between climate change and security, especially targeting parliamentarians and policymakers, civil society, and media. And then lastly, but very importantly, conducting a gender analysis of climate security in the OSCE region. So how climate and security risks affect different genders differently. And every one of you should have one of those 2 pages in front of you. It provides you with more information on climate security risks and the project. And now I would like to come to the most important part of my input, what you as parliamentarians can do to help address the security risk of climate change proposals. So as legislators, you have really a wide range of tools and roles you can play. First of all, you can help raise awareness in the national context. So you can bring the outcomes and the discussions, the deliberations here at the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly back into national debates, back to your constituencies, and also back into the media at home. You can also foster action on the national level. You can influence strategies. You can develop policies and laws. You can affect budget decisions, and you can make sure that climate security concerns are integrated into relevant aspects of national decision and policy making. For example, your national adaptation plans and strategies. You can also cooperate with other parliamentary assemblies on the topic, such as the Interparliamentary Union. And of course, you can exchange experiences and promote dialogue. So here, within this forum and beyond, your exceptionally well placed to promote dialogue on climate security risks between decision makers around the world. And then lastly, you can continue your work within the Parliamentary Assembly here on these important issues. So the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly has passed a number of resolutions on climate change. For example, in 2019, the Luxembourg Declaration, the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly urged all member states to ratify the Paris Agreement and expressed support for assessments of potential security risks stemming from climate change. And such activities can really have a catalyzing and important effect beyond the Assembly here and foster action and projects on the ground. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rüdinger, for your insights, and I hope these insights will trigger an interesting debate which will follow our your presentation and the introduction of Untitled Chapter. So, and now I am open the floor for debate. Dear colleagues, 15 committee members asked to speak. We have only 30 minutes available, so speaking time will be limited up to 2 minutes for intervention. So, and now let me invite Mr. Ravshanbek Alimov from Uzbekistan. Mr. Alimov, the floor is yours.
Спасибо, уважаемые председатели, уважаемые члены парламентской ассамблеи. Хочу поблагодарить докладчиков за важную и полезную информацию, которая действительно актуализирует роль национальных парламентов в этой сфере. Узбекистан, как весь регион Центральной Азии, это зона очень серьезных экологических проблем, которые имеют не только региональное, но и глобальное значение. В их числе кризис Аральского моря, а также проблемы утилизации радиоактивных отходов, деградации почвы, сокращение стоков трансграничных вод вследствие изменения климата. Не менее актуальны стоят в регионе проблемы минимизации парниковых газов, утилизации твердых отходов, обеспечения продовольствия и энергетической безопасности людей. В этом ряду, безусловно, особо стоит проблема орала. Преодолеть последствия этой экологической катастрофы сегодня не под силу какому-то одному государству. Поэтому Узбекистан призывает принять участие в деятельности, созданного в ноябре 2018 года под эгидой ООН многопартнерского трастового фонда для региона Приоралия, который является сегодня уникальной единой платформой для адресной мобилизации ресурсов донорского сообщества и реализации комплексных мероприятий, направленных на улучшение экологической и социально-экономической обстановки в регионе. Выражаем признательность Европейскому Союзу, Норвегии, Финляндии и другим странам за решение оказать содействие, иное практическое содействие фонду. Уважаемые коллеги, климатические процессы не признают государственных границ. Уменьшить негативные последствия изменения климата возможно только в рамках международного сотрудничества. За последние годы, благодаря новому внешнеполитическому курсу президента Узбекистана, в Центральноазиатском регионе создана совершенно иная атмосфера политического доверия, достигнут прорыв решения многих вопросов, которые в прошлом создавали препятствия на пути взаимного сближения во имя достижения общих интересов по повышению благосостояния наших народов. В том числе вопросы консолидации усилий в решении экологических проблем, использования трансграничных рек и устранения угроз, исходящих от урановых хранилищ. Фундаментальным аргументом является и то, что природа и экосистема Центральной Азии представляют собой единый организм, обеспечивающий в равной степени благополучие всех государств региона. Поэтому, уважаемые члены парламентской ассамблеи, важнейшим фактором благополучия становится реализация принципа экосистемного подхода к развитию производительных сил. Следуя этой логике, Узбекистаном принято стратегическое решение по ратификации парламента республики Парижского соглашения по климату, отражающим приоритеты экологической политики нашей страны. Утверждена стратегия по переходу страны на зеленую экономику в период 2019 до 2030 годов, в которой обозначены меры повышения энергоэффективности, энергосбережения и уменьшения парниковых газов. В этом контексте стоит отметить, что последующие годы в Узбекистане имеет место тенденция к расширению спектра и повышению значимости международного межпарламентского сотрудничества. Это касается также вопросов экологической безопасности, которые лежат в основе устойчивого социально-экономического развития. Совсем немного осталось, господин председатель. Углубление межпарламентского сотрудничества вызвано стремлением создать устойчивые механизмы народной дипломатии, платформу для широкого политического диалога, ведь растущая роль парламента в международных делах и есть отражение демократизации общества. Мне также отрадно отметить, что в текущем году действующее албанское председательство в ОСCE определило Узбекистан в качестве председателя экономико-экологического комитета ОСCE. За весь период деятельности в ОСCE Узбекистан впервые председательствует в одном из 3 комитетов, и мы намерены внести свой практический вклад в укрепление экономической и экологической повестки организации. Надеемся на вашу поддержку. Уважаемые дамы и господа, Узбекистан открыт к сотрудничеству в деле решения экологических проблем. Уверен, что эта консолидация общих усилий поможет эффективно найти пути решения. Спасибо за внимание.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lima. And dear colleagues, I kindly ask to keep the timing because we really have only 30 minutes for this debate. And now let me pass the floor to our next speaker, Mr. Petru Movila from Romania. Mr. Movila, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President, ladies and gentlemen. Environmental and climate risks seriously impact the security and well-being of our citizens and states. As a consequence, it should be not surprised that citizens are expecting us, their elected representatives, to pay more attention to reducing and the vulnerability and strengthening the resilience of our communities and states in front of climate change. Through our legislative and oversight function, we can significantly contribute to building the people's resilience to climate change through sustainable economic development, investing in resilience, adaptation, and mitigation measures. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Paris Agreement on Climate Change are the way towards a sustainable, secure, just, and green future. The rule of law is the other side of the coin. Good environmental governance is a key element for sustainable development as well as for peace, security, and stability. With its commitments in the economic and environmental dimension within the broader framework of its comprehensive approach to security, the OSCE has its role to play in advancing sustainable development and environmental protection supporting global efforts. We particularly support a continued focus on transboundary water management and on facility of water cooperation, as well as discussion linking water, climate change, peace and security. In concluding, we welcome this debate and express our support for a continuing dialogue on the security implication of climate change in our future meetings. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Movila. And now let me pass the floor to our next speaker, Odobona Vandon from France. Please, the floor is yours.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Chers collègues, le lien entre changement climatique et sécurité est clairement reconnu à l'OSCE. Dès l'acte final d'Helsinki, les 57 reconnaissent la nécessité de coopérer pour évaluer le changement climatique. En 2007, La déclaration de Madrid sur l'environnement et la sécurité reconnaît que le changement climatique peut amplifier la dégradation de l'environnement et les catastrophes naturelles et donc être un facteur additionnel de conflit. Cette idée est reprise dans la déclaration de 2009 sur les flux migratoires. Enfin, dans 2 déclarations sur l'énergie en 2013 et la connectivité en 2016, les États participants sont encouragés à atténuer l'impact du changement climatique. Plusieurs paragraphes de la déclaration en 2019 de la OSCE sont d'ailleurs consacrés au climat. Pour autant, force est de constater que les sujets environnementaux n'ont pas toute la place qu'ils méritent dans l'espace OSCE. Un déséquilibre entre les sujets environnementaux et les sujets économiques est manifeste, alors même que l'impact potentiel sur la sécurité des défis environnementaux qui peuvent être amplifiés par le changement climatique ne fait plus de doute. Que faire alors? Les parlements ont un rôle essentiel à jouer pour accroître, valoriser et renforcer au mieux la visibilité politique du lien entre climat et sécurité dans un système de gouvernance à plusieurs niveaux. À l'échelon national, il contribue au succès des politiques en matière environnementale, en concevant et adoptant des législations, en approuvant les budgets nationaux et en demandant des comptes au gouvernement. Les parlements sont un élément clé de l'engagement des États en faveur de l'environnement. En multipliant les contacts entre eux, les parlements sont en mesure de maintenir un fort niveau de mobilisation internationale en matière environnementale, d'évoquer régulièrement les questions liées à la protection de l'environnement et de diffuser les bonnes pratiques. En septembre dernier, le G7 des présidents d'Assemblée nationale réunis en France s'est ainsi mobilisé en faveur des océans. Bien commun de l'humanité, la protection des océans et de leurs ressources est un enjeu mondial majeur autour duquel doivent se retrouver tous les acteurs publics et privés. Face aux dérèglements climatiques qui, à mes yeux, ne font plus de doute, et à leurs conséquences, nous ne pourrons réussir que si nous traitons les causes et les symptômes ensemble, que si nous concevons l'action sur le climat, la sécurité et le développement social et économique comme un tout indissociable. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bonavento. And now let me pass the floor to our next speaker, Mr. Lars Thompson from Sweden. Please, Mr. Thompson, the floor is yours.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, a couple of remarks from the Swedish point of view. Is climate change affecting the security implications? The answer is yes. In Sweden, we have, if I look at the defense side, we have always focused on the southern parts because we are a lot of people there. But now when we are looking ahead to open the sea road through the Arctic year-round, we have to change focus. And now we're talking about trilateral cooperation between Norway, Sweden and Finland that make a stronger defense in the northern part of Scandinavia. And that will affect our next long-term defense decision, which is coming up this year. So what is the role of our parliamentarians? For us it's very obvious. We have to speed up, that's the message from Sweden, we have to speed up all around this room. Sweden, for us it should be quite easy actually. We have good conditions for this transformation. We are a quite rich country, we have a good technical level, we are a stable democracy, even though we have some problems with right-wing populists as well. But we have a lot of natural resources, hydropower for example, and we have a rather small population in a big country. So actually we try to be the first country in the world that make this transformation. Our problem is that the political system is getting behind. The industry is pushing hard, the population is pushing hard, but now the politics is in the braking pedal. So that's my message from me and from Sweden. All politicians in the region go home and speed up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thompson. And now let me pass the floor to our next speaker, Mr. Pavel Fedyaev from Russian Federation. Mr. Fedyaev, the floor is yours.
Добрый день, уважаемые коллеги. Российская делегация разделяет беспокойство, озвученное докладчиками, и хотим еще раз привлечь внимание. Если мы говорим о глобальном потеплении, мы говорим о парниковых газах. Чтобы снизить выброс парниковых газов, необходимо вырабатывать электроэнергию из тех источников, которые не дают этих выбросов. Мы опять говорим о природном газе. Российская Федерация более 50 лет поставляет газ в Европу. За все это время не было никаких проблем, никогда не срывали, все было регулярно. И 50 лет назад, когда мы заключали эти соглашения, на европейские страны оказывалось большое давление. И тогда Европа приняла решение в пользу собственных интересов и не поддалась давлению из-за рубежа. В этом году мы запустили турецкий поток. По нему уже получают газ Турция, Болгария, Греция. Если говорить о Европе, многие европейские страны планируют отказаться от автомобилей с двигателями внутреннего сгорания. Значит, это электрические автомобили. А где брать электроэнергию, чтобы их все заряжать? Это опять должен быть чистый источник энергии. И самый чистый, опять же, это газ. Мы говорим о Северном потоке-2. Несмотря на противодействие, наша страна завершит строительство Северного потока-2. Не надо быть экспертом, чтобы понять, что санкциями против компаний-трубоплатчиков Вашингтон пытается устранить конкурентов с европейского рынка и навязать партнерам свой СПГ. Уважаемые коллеги, вы спрашиваете, что парламентарии могут сделать для экологии, что могут сделать, чтобы остановить глобальное потепление. Всех призываем вникнуть в этот вопрос, сформировать объективную позицию и поддержать, чтобы Европа получала стабильно, доступный, экономически эффективный ресурс для производства, еще раз подчеркиваю, экологически чистой энергии. Поддержите проект Северный поток-2. Спасибо.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fedyaev. And now let me pass the floor to our next speaker, Mr. Nabi Avci from Turkey. Mr. Avci, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction report in 2018 clearly states that climate-related disasters cause thousands of lives and billions of dollars across the world. As a country in the Mediterranean region, Turkey attaches great importance to combating climate change, and we are actively contributing to this end at several levels. For instance, approximately 48% of Turkey's installed power comes from renewable resources. In 2018, Turkey ranked first in Europe and fourth in the world regarding her installed geothermal power capacity. At national level, Turkey published its first national smart city strategy and action plan in last December. This document is also the fourth smart strategy and action plan in the world. Moreover, at international level, Turkey has called at the working group on infrastructure, cities, and local action, and UN Habitat in the framework of UN Climate Action Summit in 2019. Yes, parliamentarians have a crucial role for raising awareness on adverse effects of climate change. Indeed, no country is capable of coping with this challenge alone. We therefore consider the role of parliaments important for close regional and international cooperation, which is indispensable for tackling transboundary effects of climate change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Avci. And now let me pass the floor to our next speaker, Mr. Gennady Onищенко from Russian Federation. Mr. Onищенко, the floor is yours.
Спасибо, уважаемый председательствующий. Я бы хотел прежде всего восхититься докладом, который нам предоставила наша уважаемая Кариэла Эйцхайм, но мы как-то его не услышали. Она нам дала очень серьезный посыл по трем направлениям инфраструктурного подхода. Что я имею в виду? Вот мы констатируем, да, экология улучшается, мы вмешиваемся, мы применительно к Африке. Ну, не к Африке, а к Арктике. Что нас сегодня волнует? Это огромный источник ресурсов. И как бы ни было, мы все равно туда пойдем. И будем осваивать Арктику. И как Северный морской путь, и как содержатель больших запасов пока еще не совсем развитых углеводородов. Мы говорим о борьбе с коррупцией. Да, в Армении победили коррупцию, это верно. Но при чем здесь парламентарии? Что они сделали для того, чтобы победить? А парламентарии должны сделать, они должны посмотреть то коррупционное законодательство, которое толкает бизнес на эти коррупционные истории. Значит, наша задача сделать не без утраты для безопасности все необходимые законодательные акты, которые помогут нам решать этот вопрос и не допускать коррупции. Следующий вопрос, который я бы хотел отметить, нам надо посмотреть за нашу жизнь. Вот мы говорим о сегодняшнем дне, а что будет после этого? И вот парламентарии за нашу жизнь могут посмотреть, то есть для будущих поколений, наш бюджет должен быть экологически ориентирован. Он в наших руках, и мы должны финансировать и науку, кстати, наш комитет тоже по науке, который бы позволил осваивать ресурсы и не нарушать экологию. Спасибо.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nishchenko. And now let me pass the floor to our next speaker, Mr. Carlo Goder from Malta. Please, Mr. Goder, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you also to Mr. Rill and Mr. Lucas for their excellent presentations. There is no doubt in my mind that we have to double up our fight against climate change. And I think there are three very important roles that parliamentarians need to work very hard on with regards to climate change. And these are the following. First of all, declaring climate emergency. Some countries have already done this. Malta has declared climate emergency in November of last year, however not without difficulty. Declaring climate emergency is a bold statement that our country takes climate change seriously and will strive to eliminate it. The second is education. Not only convincing everybody that climate change is real, unfortunately there are still too many people out there who don't believe that climate change is a reality, but also to educate our people on how they can contribute to combat climate change. And third, action. It's useless that we declare climate emergency, that we educate our people, but we must act. We must take action with regards to clean energy. We must take action with regards to the use of diesel and other fossil fuels, and investing in solar energy and clean energy, and also in controlling our waste. My appeal, therefore, is that, yes, we should discuss, we should share best practices, we should see what is working in different countries. However, more than that, we have to concentrate much more on action. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And our next speaker is Mr. Haralambos Pitakapidis from Cyprus. Mr. Pitakapidis, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. The devastating impact of climate change established man-caused global warming as a major security threat to the natural and human systems. Cyprus has been stepping up efforts to meet the goals set at the national and European Union levels. In mid-January, the Council of Ministers approved an ambitious national plan on climate and energy for the period 2021 to 2030. Additional measures adopted pertain to the reduction of greenhouse emissions, energy saving, and the increase of renewables. Once fully implemented, the plan is expected to save the country around €500,000. In the meantime, the Republic of Cyprus has been confronted with Turkey's illegal exploration and drilling for natural gas within Cyprus' exclusive economic zone in violation of a law of the sea and customary international law. What is more, Turkey has targeted two plots, 7 and 8, duly licensed by the Republic of Cyprus, by the Italian company Eni and the French company Total. Turkey's aim to take control of Cyprus' energy resources at the expense of the lawful energy rights of Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots alike seriously harms efforts towards the settlement of the Cyprus problem. Turkey has opted to be a pirate state against the sovereign rights of Greece and the Republic of Cyprus, also through the Turkey-Libya Memorandum of Understanding delineating maritime borders between the two countries. Moreover, Cyprus ranks first among EU member states in numbers of asylum seekers per capita, amounting to 3.6% of the country's total population. Most migrants arrive by air from Turkey in the occupied northern part of Ireland, then cross over the government-controlled areas as asylum seekers. The European Green Deal echoes European citizens' prime concern and desperate call of the youth climate movement for more action. As huge a challenge as the deal may be, it has the merit of political leadership by the world's largest economic bloc, ranking third behind China and the USA in the contribution of climate change. As parliamentarians, we must ensure our staying committed to the Paris Agreement and the UN 2030 agenda. The governing economic growth through the resource use is a challenge that we must take up by promoting climate justice upon common but differentiated responsibilities and respective capabilities. The OSCE, PA and the member parliaments must do their part in order for greater political will to prevail towards a global and inclusive process with the strong engagement of the largest greenhouse gas emitters and the participation of all stakeholders. This must be translated into effective climate mitigation and adequate adaptation assistance to vulnerable countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Petrokapitis. And now our next speaker, Mr. Jean-Claude Mikhailov from Malta. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Gerasimov, for giving me the word on my first time as head of the Maltese delegation. And issues such as climate change, being cautious doesn't work by taking a step backwards. We cannot just remain diplomatically conservative, but must take a progressive approach. I cannot not take into consideration small states like Malta in this regard. We are the most accident-prone out of all, not only because of sea level rises, which can eradicate territories, but also have devastating economical effects due to the size of economic scale and domestic markets. Parliamentarians should primarily learn about the broad-reaching effects that climate change has in their jurisdiction. Together with different stakeholders, members of Parliament should formulate their own policies to address climate change while scrutinize their respective governments in implementation stages. As OSCE PA, we should highlight the following sectors of major importance: sea level rise, extreme weather, fisheries and coastal ecosystems, tourism and water management. Let us make sure that together in our own respective ways help each other. Even though it is my first time sitting amongst you, I could sense that some of us are still tied with past conflicts. There is no way forward in looking backwards. Do not limit yourselves. Let us not bicker on our country sizes or who has the biggest defense or power. This is an issue that our people, irrelevant of their sex, race or religion, expect us to address. Therefore, I urge each and every one of you, honourable members, to distinguish yourselves by fighting climate change, joined as one. This is an issue where what counts most isn't from where we come from, but where we're heading to. Any measure must be designed in a manner that, as we move forward, no one is left behind. With this in mind, I refer to the European Green Deal, which is being proposed this week. Such deal is not only a catalyst in this fight to protect the environment, but shall also introduce a new way of negotiations, empower green economy, and sustain balanced socio-economic growth. Our cooperation is what made us sit together. Now let's win this together and stand tall in front of our constituents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now let me pass the floor to our next speaker, Arvanitidis Georgios from Greece. Please, Mr. Georgios, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Being involved in the energy policy field, I witnessed the gravity and impact of the climate change both on the economy and on the humanity. The rapidly changing energy landscape with the challenges of climate change and the fourth industrial revolution at its forefront is a historic challenge for a human race. The impact of climate change is very important, not only for the environment, but also for the economy, the international security and stability. The Mediterranean is one of the areas most affected by climate change. Europe, and in particular the Mediterranean countries, due to their geographical location, will inevitably become a host of climate migrants, and this needs to be addressed without delay. Europe is currently affected by an uncontrolled flow of migrants and refugees. Up until recently, refugees migrated mainly due to crisis and war. Yet the phenomenon of climate refugees will be at the forefront in the years ahead. And as they say, medicine prevention is half the solution to any problems. In our case, prevention at all levels would reduce the foreseeable risk. This is the prevention of conflicts, the consequences of extreme weather conditions, fires, the effects of environmental degradation and migration. Precautionary measures need to be taken. We must be prepared for the problems that would emerge as a result of climate change. And as Mr. Tsereteli said last year, it's only by working hand in hand in the same direction that we can climb up and achieve concrete progress for our citizens. I hope we do so for the best of our citizens, for the sake of future generations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And our next speaker is Mr. Mikhail Bortnik from Kazakhstan. Mr. Bortnik, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Спасибо, уважаемый господин председатель. Я хотел бы поздравить братскую страну Узбекистан с избранием в качестве председателя экономико-экологического комитета в 2020 году. Отрадно, что опять страна из Центральной Азии возглавила этот комитет после трехлетнего председательства Казахстана. Я поддерживаю слова госпожи Эйсман о том, что парламентарии могут влиять на ситуацию по изменению климата через свои законы. И Казахстан, как страна, которая большое внимание уделяет вопросам охраны окружающей среды и переходу к зеленой экономике, сегодня разработала новый экологический кодекс, который внесен в парламент республики и находится на обсуждении. Проект экологического кодекса принципиально новый документ, разработан с учетом опыта ОСР по экологическому регулированию. Мы благодарим ОБСЕ за поддержку при разработке данного законопроекта. Хочу напомнить, что в рамках Парижского соглашения Казахстан взял на себя обязательство сократить выбросы парниковых газов на 15% к 2030 году от уровня 90-го года. Особо хочу отметить, что в рамках нового кодекса разработана глава по вопросам адаптации к изменению климата, которая позволит создать нормативную основу для реализации международных обязательств Казахстана по адаптации и в соответствии с пунктами статьи 2 и 7 Парижского соглашения позволит их выполнять. Новая глава экологического кодекса создаст на национальном уровне необходимую институциональную и законодательную основу, которая будет позволять проводить оценку ситуации. На основе результатов данной оценки на национальном и местном уровне отраслевые государственные программы будут учитывать воздействие изменения климата и разрабатывать необходимые меры для адаптации к изменению климата и для достижения поставленных целей. Я хочу еще раз призвать коллег продолжить продвигать объединительные вопросы в рамках второго измерения. В этом контексте Казахстан призывает и представил свое предложение для трансформации полевого присутствия ОБСЕ в Нур-Султане из программного офиса в тематический, который как раз бы и мог заниматься вопросами контроля изменения климата и вопросами экологии. Прошу коллег поддержать данную инициативу Казахстана и благодарю всех за внимание. Спасибо.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bortnik. And our next speaker, Ms. Michelle Muratori from San Marino. Please, Ms. Muratori, the floor is yours.
Grazie signor Presidente, saluto cordialmente tutti voi. Oggi è la prima sessione OSCE per me. Ringrazio la relatrice Ilona Oksa per il prezioso contributo fornito dalla sua relazione. Ringrazio altresì anche gli ambasciatori Asado e Vucic con le loro relazioni che coinvolgono la sicurezza economica mondiale, ma anche tutti i colleghi che sono intervenuti prima di me e hanno sottoposto all'attenzione dell'Aula problematiche che ritengo particolarmente interessanti e meritevoli di approfondimento. Ci avete sottoposto tantissime sfide che tutti noi abbiamo il dovere di perseguire in maniera fattiva, ognuno con le proprie forze che ha a disposizione. È curioso come in questa assise sia accanto ai colleghi della Federazione Russa, il paese più grande di questa assemblea, seduto a fianco ad uno dei più piccoli. Abbiamo la bellissima possibilità di collaborare tutti insieme per combattere i problemi che coinvolgono tutti i paesi che tutti noi abbiamo l'onore di rappresentare. Sicuramente le sfide da voi elencate sono tutte tristemente attuali, ma voglio sottolineare come la gestione dei rifiuti e il suo relativo smaltimento, ma anche l'approvvigionamento idrico, tematiche particolarmente sentite per un paese piccolo come la Repubblica di San Marino, siano le sfide che ci dovranno vedere protagonisti nella nostra personale realtà. Ma dai nostri 61 km², che è la superficie del nostro territorio, vorremmo essere protagonisti assieme a voi di tutte le sfide che coinvolgeranno la comunità mondiale, come ad esempio i cambiamenti climatici che stanno sconvolgendo l'intero pianeta. Sicuramente l'introduzione di politiche che possano stimolare lo sviluppo di energie rinnovabili e sostenibili è quanto mai fondamentale e mi auguro che questo cambio di mentalità possa coinvolgere tutti noi. Grazie.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muratori, and let me pass the floor to our next speaker, Mr. Ferran Costa from Andorra. Please, Mr. Costa, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The Andorran delegation also shares the concerns raised here by the presenters today. All countries are affected by climate change, but its impact on smaller countries like ours can be detrimental. Our economic model highly depends on tourism, particularly the skiing industry. The impact of global warming is a clear threat to us. Regardless of our size, all parliamentarians from all over the world have a clear saying, and our contributions are essential in order to tackle climate change. The efforts can be twofold, both at a national and an international level. At the national level, our Parliament has already shown its firm commitment towards tackling climate change. Back in 2018, the Andorran parliamentarians unanimously passed the Energy Transition and Climate Change Bill, which contemplates more ambitious goals than those stated in the Paris Agreement signed in 2016. Not only that, but with the cooperation of key civil society players and the assistance of the local Friday for Futures group, the Parliament recently approved, again unanimously, a declaration on climate emergency. Our efforts at the national level are not enough. We need cooperation and multilateralism at an international level. Climate issues neither understand borders nor ideologies. It was mentioned earlier today, the joint declaration of future leadership for political inclusion in the OSCE region, drafted 2 weeks ago in Washington by young parliamentarians. The Andorran contribution to this statement includes promoting the declaration of a climate emergency in every OSCE participating state in order to reinforce cooperative responses to climate change that empower youth associations and increase youth participation in the public debate. Therefore, we strongly encourage all of you honorable parliamentarians of these 57 states gathered here today to work together at both national and international levels towards tackling the undeniable challenges that climate change poses. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your intervention, and dear colleagues, now the list of speakers was closed, but we were requested during our debate for two more interventions, and I want to provide the floor now, because we are still on time, for Nabil from Turkey, 1 minute, and for our Italian colleagues, but please 1 minute, because the list of speakers were closed before that, before your request. Thank you. Mr. Archie, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Greek Cyprus' persistent denial and non-recognition of the political equality of the Turkish Cyprus is the root cause of the Cyprus issue. Unilateral steps of Greek Cyprus that ignore the equal rights of Turkish Cyprus and violate our rights in our continental shelf are unlawful and unacceptable. Turkey is determined to protect its sovereign rights and interests in its continental shelf, as well as the rights and interests of the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. As long as the Greek Cypriots act as if the islands belong solely to them and continue their unilateral hydrocarbon-related activities, our position will not change. Turkish Cypriot authorities' latest comprehensive proposal last year aims at establishing a cooperation mechanism between the two sides on the island, including revenue sharing and enabling the two sides to benefit hydrocarbon resources simultaneously. The Greek Cypriots rejected the proposal, but it will stay on the table. We expect the international community to encourage the Greek Cypriots to talk to the Turkish Cypriots. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now let me pass the floor to our Italian colleagues. Please, the floor is yours.
Grazie allo speaker, semplicemente per riportare che il governo italiano, quello subentrato a partire dal settembre dell'anno scorso, ha dato la massima attenzione possibile al tema della cooperazione sull'economia verde, e che fa parte tra le principali azioni che vengono portate avanti come esecutivo sia all'interno del Ministero dello Sviluppo Economico che all'interno del Ministero dell'Ambiente, ed è infatti diventato una delle principali narrazioni del nostro governo anche per i prossimi anni, insieme all'innovazione, inevitabilmente. Aggiungo infine un ultimo dettaglio, è che ovviamente come OSCE sappiamo bene che c'è la difficoltà di continuare nell'azione, diciamo così, il follow-up di quelle che sono le conversazioni, delle giuste conversazioni che vengono fatte qui, e credo che potremmo facilmente risolverle lavorando ovviamente anche a margine dell'OSCE come cooperazioni bilaterali, come promozione delle best practice tra i gruppi parlamentari dei vari paesi. E io per esempio lo porto avanti sia dal punto di vista dell'innovazione che del settore spazio, ma sono assolutamente disponibile sia io che i miei colleghi della nostra delegazione per lavorare su quelle che possono essere le best practice di questo settore, ripeto, al di là dell'OSCE e come membri del Parlamento. Grazie.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nvidia, for your intervention. And before the conclusion, which will be made by our special representative on Arctic issues, let me pass the floor now to the representative of the High Commission of the United Nations High Commissioner on Refugees for a small intervention before conclusion. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. UNHCR is grateful to be given the opportunity to contribute to this important debate today, and please allow me to share with you the following short 3 key messages from the perspective of our mandate. First, climate change is developing dynamically, and it impacts on all the 3 security dimensions addressed by the OSCE. It will cause and has already caused significant population movements. Rising sea levels may in worst case scenarios ultimately lead to the submersion of entire island states, requiring alternatives for its population. Second, parliamentarians, as is the case with any newly developing phenomena, play a key and crucial role in addressing the challenges related to climate change in a reasonable, peaceful, balanced and differentiated manner, by contributing to a sober, well-informed strategic debate and by ensuring a suitable legislative framework. Third, international bodies, including UNHCR, analyze already whether, how and to which extent climate-related displacement can be addressed by existing international refugee and human rights law, and whether complementary normative action might be required at international level. The UN Human Rights Committee has already offered some direction by indicating that people who flee effects of climate change and natural disasters should not be returned to their country of origin if essential human rights, such as the right to life, would be at risk upon their return. In conclusion, we would like to encourage your further engagement and debate on this difficult and complex issue. UNHCR stands ready to continue to share its expertise. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bird, for your intervention, and it's really very important information, and thank you very much for sharing it with the members of our committee. And now our debate are closed, and finally we're moving to the next point of our agenda, and I would like to welcome our Vice President, Mr. Pascal Alezard, who will present us an important, Before moving to the presentation of our Vice President, Mr. Pascal Alezard, let me pass the floor to Torelai Sham to conclude our debate and to comment all the information we received, we discussed, and we listened from our distinguished members of our committee. Please, Torelai, the floor is yours.
Thank you for that, Mr. President. And I understand it was a signal, be brief. So I'll try to be brief. Thank you so much for your valuable comments. It has been really interesting to listening to all the different aspects during this discussion and debate. And first of all, I would like to repeat something that has been said today, and I really agree. Because some of you have mentioned that this topic really requires attention, more attention than we have paid so far from our organization. And I am looking very much forward to follow this to the next session in Vancouver. And I welcome these the further discussions. And I would like to encourage everyone to go back home and to put this topic on our agendas. As we have heard, some are already had a good start, and some have some more to do. And we need to implement it in our political parties, constituencies, and also in the parliaments. And we have our international commitments. So we will need to do even more. But first of all, we need to implement the ones that we already have. I think it's promising, this engagement that we see and experience here today. And I look so much forward to continue these discussions together with you, my colleagues here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toril, and thank you very much all members of the committee, all fellow parliamentarians who participated in the debates, and even a number of those who expressed their opinions during the debate show for us the extreme importance of this issue, not only for the OSCE region, but worldwide. So thank you very much, and finally, attempt number 2. We are moving to our Vice President Pascal Elizard, who will present us an important assessment effort which focuses on the impact of the Global Development Project Belt and Road Initiative. I want to say you that during our last Bureau meeting in Bratislava in December 2019, this topic was discussed hugely and identified as those which needs further exploration during our statutory meetings, including in terms of security implications for our region. So, Mr. Elizard, the floor is yours.
Merci, Monsieur le Président, mes chers collègues. Merci de m'avoir convié à échanger avec vous sur ce grand pays qu'est la Chine. Le monde évolue rapidement, vous le savez, et de nouveaux acteurs internationaux apparaissent, les puissances émergent. Et l'ordre des choses, hérité de Yalta puis de la chute du mur de Berlin, se trouve bouleversé, en va ainsi de l'émergence de la Chine. Quelques années, la Chine est devenue un acteur global, plus seulement économique, mais une véritable puissance qui a su se construire patiemment au point d'être omniprésente en Europe, mais aussi sur les autres continents. Le bras de fer États-Unis-Chine illustre combien, même pour l'hyperpuissance américaine, combien il est difficile de résister à l'avancée chinoise. Le dossier de la 5G et de l'entreprise Huawei montre par exemple que les Occidentaux n'ont pas vu venir cette puissance technologique capable d'innover et de surprendre le monde par ses capacités. Fer de lance de son essor à l'étranger, le projet des nouvelles routes de la soie, baptisé One Belt One Road en 2013 et désormais appelé Belt and Road Initiative, avance à grands pas pour bâtir depuis la Chine et jusqu'à l'Europe, l'Afrique, l'Amérique latine, des routes commerciales, terrestres, ferroviaires, maritimes, numériques et satellitaires. Ces routes auront des conséquences économiques et géopolitiques très importantes, d'autant qu'elles s'accompagnent d'un retour de la puissance militaire chinoise jusqu'au pourtour de l'Europe. Quant aux moyens, les autorités chinoises sont capables d'actionner à la fois le secteur public et le secteur privé, ce qui permet d'une part un pilotage étatique puissant et d'autre part de disposer de ressources financières considérables. Les estimations envisagent des investissements chinois cumulés dans les pays des routes de la soie qui dépassent les 1200 milliards de dollars d'ici 2027. Car en effet, pour nos amis chinois, le temps ne compte pas, hormis le fait d'être une puissance majeure, sinon la première, pour le centenaire de la République populaire de Chine. Ce sont là les données fondamentales de l'équation qui expliquent en partie la force de frappe de l'offre chinoise à laquelle, en Europe comme ailleurs, il semble difficile de résister à ce pacte économique complet, à ses financements et auquel s'ajoute la rapidité d'exécution. C'est donc une avancée chinoise qui inquiète. Alors tout d'abord, c'est une apparente bienveillance, mais en position de force, puisque la Chine est souvent vue comme cherchant à utiliser les organisations de coopération régionale à son profit, et si elle s'inscrit dans les instances multilatérales mondiales, par pragmatisme, son mode d'action privilégié semble être les relations bilatérales, souvent plus discrètes, et que j'ai qualifié dans mes travaux de bilatéralisme de masse. La Chine y apparaît comme la partie certes proposant sa bienveillante aide et coopération, mais en position de force, loin des négociations et concessions imposées par le multilatéralisme. C'est un modèle qu'elle applique aussi en Europe. Pour les États ciblés, difficile de traiter d'égal à égal la majorité des projets promus par Pékin aux contraintes financières fortes sont souvent confiés à des entreprises chinoises aux dépens des sociétés locales. Dans le même temps, elle développe ses initiatives comme le Forum international des nouvelles routes de la soie, dont la deuxième édition s'est terminée au printemps 2019 à Pékin et qui lui permettent de réunir de nombreux pays sous le regard du reste du monde. C'est une façon de créer de nouveaux rendez-vous internationaux, mais entièrement à sa main et selon son calendrier. Autre point, la Chine ou l'art de diviser l'Europe notamment, puisqu'une grande partie des inquiétudes concernant la situation en Europe repose sur une relative prudence qui reste de mise à l'ouest à propos des routes de la soie, plus globalement de la présence chinoise dans les pays d'Europe centrale et orientale. La Chine s'est affirmée dans l'économie, nombreux projets en cours, forums économiques Chine-PECO réguliers, ainsi qu'en matière politique, par l'instauration d'un dialogue de haut niveau au format 17+1, l'institutionnalisation du format, la diversification de ses objectifs et sa perpétuelle expansion montrent son importance aux yeux de la Chine face à une Europe divisée. La Chine a su parfaitement saisir le déséquilibre en infrastructure entre les pays de l'Ouest et de l'Est de l'Europe et repérer les pays à l'économie plus fragile. Mais ces derniers ont surtout reçu des promesses d'infrastructures assorties de prêts à rembourser avec intérêt, au point que pour la Chine, le bénéfice politique semble à ce jour supérieur aux réalisations économiques. Par ailleurs, la Chine a constitué un véritable réseau d'organisations influentes à Bruxelles qui agissent comme autant de leviers venant soutenir son effort diplomatique et sa stratégie de soft power. On ne peut dès lors que constater cet échec pour l'Europe de voir les PECO s'en remettre aux États-Unis et à l'OTAN pour leur sécurité du départ et à la Chine pour leur prospérité économique, ce qui, par ailleurs, posera à terme des difficultés d'ordre stratégique, me semble-t-il. Il y a aussi le pivot asiatique et la convergence sino-russe sur lequel je voudrais dire quelques mots, puisque en tension avec l'Europe depuis la crise ukrainienne, nos amis russes basculent logiquement vers leur versant asiatique, en particulier en soignant la relation avec la Chine, les deux pays étant d'importants partenaires commerciaux qui affichent leur volonté de renforcer leur coopération dans de nombreux secteurs. Au Forum international des nouvelles routes de la soie, la Russie occupait une place de choix, et de même au récent Forum économique de Saint-Pétersbourg, les présidents Vladimir Poutine et Xi Jinping ont affiché leur entente, pourquoi pas. C'est aussi le cas au sein de l'Organisation de la coopération de Shanghai. En septembre 2019, un exercice militaire à grande échelle russo-chinois s'est déroulé en Russie, en partenariat avec des États membres de l'OSCE. Cette convergence sino-russe, deux États aux ambitions globales non dissimulées jusqu'en Arctique et en Méditerranée, doit, je le crois, inviter les Européens à ne pas se laisser marginaliser. Alors, quels enjeux et quelles solutions pour l'avenir? Au vu de la situation, il me semble que l'heure n'est pas à la prudence, voire à la méfiance, mais plutôt à l'action. Un point important, ça a été le 21e sommet de l'Union européenne avec la Chine, une espèce de tournant, puisque compte tenu des besoins et de la taille du marché chinois, il y a certes des opportunités entre la Belt and Road Initiative et l'Europe, et l'Union européenne et les autres pays européens devraient potentiellement profiter de cette augmentation des échanges dans les décennies qui viennent, à condition que cela fonctionne dans les deux sens, ce qui n'est pas le cas aujourd'hui. Quant aux investissements chinois, ils sont en hausse en Europe, tandis que les investissements européens se réduisent en Chine. Il y a donc des rééquilibrages à faire, à condition de s'en donner l'ambition et les moyens. Le dernier sommet Union européenne-Chine s'est tenu dans un climat de relative méfiance, l'Union attendant des actes de la part des Chinois, et comme le rappelait le président Tusk, les négociations ont été difficiles, mais en fin de compte fructueuses. Peu avant le sommet, le Parlement européen votait une résolution sur la menace chinoise en matière de sécurité dans les domaines technologiques, et la Commission présentait une communication destinée à mieux tenir tête à la deuxième économie mondiale, désormais perçue comme une menace. L'Europe veut investir davantage en Chine et commencer à faire évoluer les échanges et les investissements. C'est tout le sens de la déclaration commune adoptée à l'issue de ce sommet, dans lequel l'Union et la Chine se sont engagés à bâtir leurs relations économiques sur l'ouverture, la non-discrimination et la concurrence loyale. Il reste cependant à savoir à quel rythme avancera la partie chinoise. Rappelez-vous, pour les Chinois, le temps ne conduit pas, mais enfin, les Européens brandissent le concept de réciprocité. De plus, pour l'avenir, la 5G TGV chinois ne sont pas une fatalité. Nous disposons de toutes les briques technologiques, de toutes les compétences pour rester compétitifs, à condition de s'adapter au marché et à la concurrence. Afin de conserver son rang de puissance spatiale, l'Europe devra revoir ses ambitions et ses moyens face à l'axe d'effort de la Chine vers l'espace. L'ambition des Chinois, là aussi, est en effet de proposer, notamment aux pays des routes de la soie, de recourir à ces services spatiaux. Lors d'un récent déplacement en Chine, le président de la République française, pardonnez-moi de le citer, a assuré que la Chine avait compris maintenant que l'Europe était organisée. Pour autant, les conséquences du travail chinois à l'égard de certains États membres risquent d'apparaître dans les prochains mois et les prochaines années. Et sur ce sujet, comme dans d'autres, le spectre de la division plane sur nos vieux pays européens et de plus des inquiétudes demeurent à propos des transferts de technologies, du non-respect de la propriété intellectuelle, sans parler des fuites de données et autres mesures d'intelligence économique dans lesquelles la puissance étatique chinoise utilise tous ses moyens au service de ses champions nationaux. Récemment, l'Union a signé un partenariat pour une connectivité durable et des infrastructures de qualité avec le Japon, ce qui ouvre des opportunités économiques et qui pourrait permettre d'endiguer ce rouleau compresseur chinois et qui portera sur les infrastructures, c'est-à-dire l'un des pivots de la stratégie chinoise. Derrière cet accord, il existe de sérieuses perspectives de renforcement de la coopération politique et militaire qui intéressent tout autant les Japonais que les Européens face à la Chine. Protéger ensuite, mieux protéger nos infrastructures stratégiques, puisque si les investissements étrangers sont partout les bienvenus, pour autant les États ne doivent pas totalement se dessaisir de leurs infrastructures stratégiques. Une fois cédé, tout retour en arrière sera difficile, d'autant que s'agissant des ports, par exemple, mais pas uniquement, les Chinois prennent pied, voire contrôlent l'Interland. C'est la raison pour laquelle il convient d'être extrêmement vigilant à propos de l'essor de la 5G, que l'Union appelle de ses voeux et décrit comme un enjeu d'autonomie stratégique, rendu compliqué par l'offre du géant chinois Huawei, société au lien étroit avec l'appareil d'État, est déjà mis en cause dans des fuites de données. Par ailleurs, il convient de rappeler le pari industriel de la Chine sur les villes intelligentes, dont les technologies sont aussi propices au renseignement, à l'intelligence économique et aux menaces cyber. Les collectivités publiques européennes qui souhaiteraient s'équiper de réseaux intelligents à moindre coût devront être attentives à ces questions. Il faudra d'ailleurs les sensibiliser davantage. En outre, les financements chinois aux conditions souvent draconiennes peuvent aboutir à des situations de fragilité des États bénéficiaires. La Chine ne se soucie pas qu'un pays soit capable de rembourser ses emprunts, disait l'ancien commissaire européen à la politique régionale. Quelques États africains et asiatiques sont d'ailleurs en train d'en faire les frais. Qu'en sera-t-il demain pour les pays européens les plus liés à la Chine? Dès lors, les États ne devraient pas se mettre en position de devoir consentir des abandons de souveraineté ou de faire l'objet de pressions en raison d'une dette trop lourde. Je préside le groupe d'amitié France-Pakistan, pays où avec le CIPEC, les investissements chinois sont les plus importants, et je peux vous dire que la concentration de ces investissements appelle d'autres investissements étrangers pour diluer les précédents. Alors, Monsieur le Président, pour conclure, au-delà des intentions réelles supposées de la Chine, la grande inconnue pour l'avenir repose dans la capacité des Chinois à soutenir dans la durée et en même temps un tel effort industriel, commercial, militaire, financier et politique, tout en continuant à susciter l'adhésion à ces projets. Au regard des performances économiques qui ne vont pas s'améliorer avec la crise du coronavirus, et critiques aussi sur la qualité des travaux d'infrastructure ou du manque de transparence, du recours massif à de la main-d'œuvre chinoise expatriée au détriment des travailleurs locaux, les inquiétudes grandissent. Et ce n'est donc pas par hasard si le deuxième forum des routes de la soie s'est ouvert à Pékin au printemps dernier dans un contexte marqué par la défiance vis-à-vis des projets chinois. Le président Xi Jinping a annoncé en plus des 60 milliards supplémentaires de projets, une nouvelle feuille de route, ainsi que des chantiers plus respectueux des questions sociales et environnementales, plus d'ouverture dans les appels d'offres et davantage d'efforts pour lutter contre la corruption. Pour les prochaines années, toute la question sera donc de savoir s'il s'agit d'une volonté réelle de changement ou d'une opération de communication. Je vous invite à suivre de près la communication et le cycle de communication du président chinois concernant la crise du coronavirus, et vous verrez que c'est extrêmement instructif sur le souci de la gestion de la dynamique économique. Je vous invite à suivre aussi l'évolution des réserves de change de la Chine, et je peux vous dire qu'au 31 décembre 2019, elles étaient à leur plus haut niveau historique. J'attire votre attention sur la loi de Gresham qui nous rappelle, et il y a des expériences, que la mauvaise monnaie chasse toujours la bonne, et ce qui peut d'ailleurs nous créer quelques inquiétudes dans le jeu entre le yuan et le dollar. Je ne développerai pas puisque le temps est compté. Et enfin, par ailleurs, en devenant un acteur global, la Chine sera confrontée aux contraintes qui vont avec, telles les problématiques sécuritaires. Cette projection de la Chine sur le devant de la scène internationale sera d'autant plus visible que s'exprime au même moment une certaine volonté de désengagement des États-Unis de certains théâtres et que l'Europe puissance peine à émerger. Pour l'Europe, le plus grand risque face à la Chine reste la division. C'est pourquoi, Monsieur le Président et mes chers collègues, j'ai approuvé et soutenu dès le début la création de notre groupe de travail Silk-Road, puisqu'en fait, ça a été la première démarche connue de cartélisation des pays signataires de conventions avec la Chine. Voilà, Monsieur le Président, merci.
Thank you very much, Mr. Razak. And now we will have a short debate on agenda item 6. So we have 3 speakers in the list, and now let me pass the floor to Mr. Nabil Archi from Turkey. Mr. Archi, the floor is yours.
Thank you, dear Chair. Thank you, Mr. Razak. Located at the crossroads of important transport corridors and trade routes, Turkey attaches great importance to the development of combined transport corridors, which is not only beneficial for our country, but also for broader region. In this regard, we support rebuilding a modern Silk Road by upgrading the existing infrastructure and removing the impediments to continental transport and trade. Since 1990s, Turkey has been promoting multimodal transport corridors. Our efforts for this aim have been materialized with Trans-Caspian East-West Middle Corridor Initiative traversing the Caucasus region, the Caspian Sea, Central Asian countries, and reaching all the way to China. In this respect, Baku-Tbilisi-Kars Railway, inaugurated more than 2 years ago, is playing a prominent role in reviving modern Silk Road and facilitate uninterrupted connection between East and West. Mr. Chair, Turkey is supporter of win-win projects to develop uninterrupted connectivity between Asia and Europe, which can complement each other in revitalizing modern Silk Road based on mutual trust, benefit, and equality. In this regard, Trans-Caspian China Express train departing from Vienna and destined for Prague has become the first freight train coming from China and reaching Europe via Baku-Tbilisi-Kars Railway and Marmaray in last November. The train arrived its final destination, Prague, in 18 days. The number of the freight trains from China to Europe via Turkey is expected to increase in 2020 and in the following years. We believe that as long as the Belt and Road Initiative proceeds as a win-win initiative, it has a natural synergy with existing connectivity policies throughout the region, and it's compatible with the Middle Corridor Initiative. Once the Belt and Road Initiative and other regional and inter-regional transport corridors are oriented properly and smoothly, we believe that they will offer many opportunities to bring Asia and Europe closer, thus to contribute to the welfare and socio-economic development of all en route countries. We will continue to follow the developments regarding the Belt and Road Initiative very closely.
Thank you very much, Mr. Archie. And now let me pass the floor to our next speaker, Lord Peter Bowness from United Kingdom. Lord Bowness, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. President. May I congratulate your committee on having this item on the agenda, and indeed Vice President Alizard for his presentation, which is very interesting. I think, however, that this is a topic which deserves a better slot in our meetings rather than what in English we describe sometimes as the graveyard slot. I really believe that the Parliamentary Assembly should pay serious attention to the Belt and Road initiatives and the wider implications. Mr. Alizard talked about the possible pressures on economy, on security, on democracy, the environment and human rights for countries involved with this initiative, and therefore for our own region. The influence is being felt right across our region, and only this week the Chinese railway company suggested they might like to build our controversial high-speed railway in the United Kingdom. But I believe this should be a mainstream concern of the Parliamentary Assembly. We do have the Silken Belt support group, to which a number of delegations have joined, but it is not, and I repeat, not part of the Parliamentary Assembly, despite using our name and having its own separate secretariat and specific membership. This is an organisation which is outside the Parliamentary Assembly, and is not a substitute for the Assembly itself looking at ways of bringing the support group into and making it accountable to the Assembly, either as an ad hoc group or as a committee, or establishing its own, as Vice President Alizard suggested, its own distinctive mechanism. The point is that it must be accountable. This is not an attack on the Silk Road Group or any country or delegation that has signed up to it. It is a suggestion that this must be a mainstream concern. However we do it, whatever our views about China, we cannot and should not ignore it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bowness. Now let me pass the floor to our next speaker, Andy Harris from United States of America. Please, Mr. Harris, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank Vice President Alizard for his presentation. We would urge caution as participating states consider projects under China's Belt and Road Initiative. Although it's frequently marketed as development assistance, monies received from Belt and Road Initiative has often invited corruption in other regions, ending up in the pockets of corrupt leaders and officials who lease, collateralize, or sell important state assets, putting their countries at a long-term disadvantage. As was noted in the presentation, projects under this initiative are often pursued using imported Chinese companies and imported Chinese labor, meaning that local economic development is certainly not as robust as otherwise might be. Furthermore, intellectual property theft should always be considered because the potential always exists when dealing with Chinese companies. There are no shortcuts on the road to prosperity. Participating states should be clear-eyed about the nature of the Belt and Road Initiative and avoid accepting monies that may produce only short-term projects but harm longer-term development. Finally, security is definitely an issue as China acquires access to overseas assets, including assets that could result in potential security compromises. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, the list of speakers was closed, but our colleagues from Russian Federation and Austria requested for information. So please, let's conclude up to 1 minute. Now let me pass the floor to Mr. Gennady Onищенко from Russian Federation. Mr. Onищенко, the floor is yours.
Спасибо прежде всего господину Ализару за его доклад. Он, безусловно, отличается логичностью, построением тех предположений, которые он сделал. Единственное, что я хотел обратить внимание, некоторую современность этого доклада. А вообще я бы посоветовал вам обратиться к истории и самого одного пояса, одного шелкового пути и, в общем-то, истории взаимоотношений наших стран. И отсюда не будет таких поверхностных и однобоких суждений относительно взаимодействия России и Китая, тех подозрений, которые вы высказали, потому что всегда ответы на сегодняшние вопросы надо искать в истории развития наших государств. В истории моего государства один пояс, один путь сыграл огромную роль, еще когда у нас было 300-летнее монголо-татарское нашествие на Россию. Вот тогда мы еще закладывали эти основы. Поищите там ответы, и они не будут такими сегодняшними. Они будут носить стратегический характер. Спасибо.
Thank you very much, Mr. Onищенко. And now let me pass the floor to Reinhold Lobatka from Austria. Please, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Very brief. Speaking of the Silk Road Initiative, One Belt, One Road, I fully agree with my colleagues from the UK and the United States. Having our security in mind, we should really be here very careful, and having this with the name of OSCE is for me more and more a problem.
Thank you very much. And now debate is finished, and let me now pass the floor to Pascal Alizar to make conclusions, short conclusions about after our debate. Please, the floor is yours.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Ce sera effectivement très bref. Lors de mon dernier voyage à Pékin, je rassure, les voisins ne n'étaient pas pendant la crise du coronavirus, j'ai rencontré, entre autres, des hauts dirigeants chinois sur le sujet. Le premier que j'ai rencontré était un ministre en charge du sujet, et il m'a dit « Monsieur le sénateur, ne vous inquiétez pas, Belt and Road Initiative, c'est un simple label commercial. » Voilà. Et le même jour, dans un bureau à la cité interdite, à la cité impériale, à quelques centaines de mètres du bureau du matin, j'ai rencontré le directeur général de la commission de la réforme. C'est un homme extrêmement important et qui rapporte directement au président chinois. Et c'est lui qui pilote la Belt and Road Initiative. Et il m'a dit la chose suivante, et j'arrêterai là-dessus, la Belt and Road Initiative, c'est une offre chinoise et une alternative au monde américano-centré. J'ai fini.
Thank you very much. We finished this topic on our agenda, and now we are moving to the last. Do we have, dear colleagues, any other business to discuss today? No? Excellent. So, before finishing, I would like to thank again to all our speakers, to all our members of the committee for your excellent contributions. For the speakers, I want to say thank you for their excellent presentations. I want to say thank you for our interpreters for their excellent work, and the meeting is now closed. Thank you very much.
You really spoil us here at OSCE.